Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App, $ ORIONNWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got Thursday night football with the San Francisco 49ers versus the Los Angeles Rams. Kickoff will be here in roughly 5 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get ready for some Thursday night football. And on the thumb, on the left, one of the most dynamic running backs in the game, Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey. And since a lot of the other starters are out, he's going to definitely have to step up for the Niners to be close in this one. And on the right, one of the more underrated, undervalued, great running backs in this league, Kyren Williams. We'll be shooting for 100 likes. 100 on the Dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. So obviously it's been a very busy day in the MLB wildcard series. We did see the Tigers rebound from the loss yesterday and end up blowing out the Guardians. So it will be Tigers versus the Mariners. I'm very excited about that. It's the tougher path, for Seattle, but we wouldn't want it any other way. We want to be able to play the best to be the best. So if that means that we got to beat the Tigers and then we got to beat the Blue Jays and make it to the World Series and play against the Phillies or the Dodgers, then so be it. And that might be the path that we have to go, assuming the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox or the Yankees, and then they move on and we play them. And obviously, I wouldn't want to play anybody else, because again, we have good history with them. And again, if Boston or New York somehow, some way, we're able to beat Toronto, so be it. But again, I would assume Toronto will be able to find a way. It'll be tougher for them if they play the Red Sox, who I assume is going to win today. And again, we'll see kind of where it goes. But again, it could go either way, but the path is clear. Tigers, Blue Jays, Red Sox, or Yankees, whoever it may be, you win those two series, you go to the World Series, and more than likely, not to discredit the Brewers and Cubs, those teams are great, but I kind of think that, the winner between the Phillies and the Dodgers, that's going to be the team that ends up representing the National League more than likely. Not to say that the Brewers can't do it, they can, and the Cubs, they just ended their game against the Padres with runners at second and third, obviously with only a 3-1 lead, and if Fedmin was able to get a big home run there, then things might have been different, but he flied out to center. So congratulations to the Cubs. They're going to play the Brew Crew and the Brewers, divisional rivals. Obviously, the Phillies and Dodgers are the two best teams, not named Milwaukee, and we assume that those are the two strongest besides the Brewers. And then obviously we now have the Tigers and the Mariners, and then we'll figure out what we get here when the Red Sox and Yankees end around the same time as this matchup. And then we'll find out if it ends up being Boston versus Toronto, which I feel that's a pretty good probability, or if New York finds a way to get the job done and win back-to-back games, but we will see. The San Francisco 49er team has got a lot of bodies that are banged up. George Kittle, Jordan James, Jordan Watkins, Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall. So again, it's not really the same. Havenstein and a few others, but not a lot of the big impact guys, except for maybe Tyler Higbee, a guy that could get the ball from Matthew Stafford. If you guys have been paying attention, Stafford is still balling, at this old age. 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. He's going to be going against Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a little bit better than people think. But again, with Stafford healthy, Kyren Williams healthy, Devontae Adams coming into the roster and, doing good numbers, Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the game. If you look at his yards, receptions, everything across the board, Puka is kind of the front runner right now for being like the new top dog. And again, we have seen guys like Jay Jetta, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase kind of hold that role, and a few other guys that have kind of climbed the ranks like Amon-Ra St. Brown within the last couple years. But Puka is kind of in a category of all his own. And again, This is the team to beat in the NFC West. Seattle is going to be nipping at their heels all year long, and we'll see if the Niners get healthy, if they'll be able to catch up. But again, we always know the Cardinals are going to be little brother, and they're going to be looking up at the Niners, the Hawks, and the Rams, and it could come down to the wire on who ends up winning the division and who ends up getting second place. Could this be the first year that the Niners miss the playoffs and it ends up being Seattle and Los Angeles instead? It's a high probability, especially with all the injuries, but definitely excited to see where this one goes. Steven in the building, what's good? I appreciate that. I'll be grinding it out, and it doesn't matter what we do, baseball, basketball, football, hockey. I will be here representing for the NWSF. Appreciate you very, very much. Ronald in the building. Ronald, I'm not sure if you're a Niner fan or if you're a betting man, but that's a pretty tough prediction there. Obviously, this could be a trap game for the Rams. There's no doubt about that. But if you're looking player for player, even if the Niners had all their players healthy, I think I would still be leaning towards the Rams. That's how good I think they are this year. But again, you have to go out there and you're going to have to earn it. Marine Bean in the building, what's good? Navis in the building, what's good? Daniel in the building, what's good? Ronald getting us started with a $1 holla. Every dollar counts. Stacks, racks with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. We're at 1:99 to go to hit the goal. I appreciate you. $1 holla on the Dono train. Let's go. And this game is obviously on Amazon Prime, which I ended up starting my free 30-day trial this morning. And then it'll be $15 a month, and I'll keep it during football season. So that way, if we end up doing Thursday night games, I'll have access. If you guys are watching at home along with me, just to give you guys a heads up, obviously there's going to be streaming links that are out there, but you're going to be usually 30 to 40 seconds behind. If you watch it on your phone through the Prime app, it's going to be faster than when you watch it on your TV through the Prime app through your television. Hand off up the middle on 1st down and 10 and run CMC with the short gain. And I'm not really sure why it's faster through your phone app rather than the TV app. I got them both on right now simultaneously so I can see, which one is faster, but you're going to get the action about maybe 15 to 20 seconds faster if you do it through the phone rather than the TV itself. Not really sure why it's built that way, but just to give you guys a heads up. 2nd down and 6. And Mac Jones, little check down. And McCaffrey for a nice little gain there. 4-yard gain to the San Francisco 32. 1st down, Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. See you. Yeah, and again, the Niners have always been kind of, somewhat injury prone, but this year it's a little ridiculous, on how many injuries they've had, over the years and whatnot. Mac Jones to McCaffrey there, 15-yard gain. I see you. 1st down and 10 for the Niners. Don't look like a false start there. Back-to-back plays. Obviously, they're going to be going to McCaffrey on the ground and a lot of screen passes. And again, you can end up using him in the, screen game. You can run hitches, reverses, end arounds, pretty much anything and anywhere you want to line up Christian McCaffrey. He's going to be able to do that. But a false start here brings back 5 yards. And that's going to be on Colby. And that's going to be a 5-yard penalty there. But I am looking forward to this matchup. Consider I'm doing this over, the Yankees or Red Sox or any of the earlier games today. Very good matchup, very even. Play action fake and a little check down there. And Christian McCaffrey breaking 1 tackle, 2 tackles, leaning forward. 1st down, Niners. And it's been a lot of Christian McCaffrey, and you would assume that, when you got Mac Jones and not Brock Purdy, and then on top of that, Pearsall and a few of the other receivers, including George Kittle, are out, and obviously you're going to have to, make do with what you have. And Christian McCaffrey is going to be your biggest target, and he's going to be the bell cow, not only today, but, for every game you have a majority of the rest of the offensive pieces that are injured. 1st down and 10. Play action fake. Jones scrambles, little bootleg to the right, throws it into the turf, incomplete. And another flag on the play here. See if this ends up being holding on the offensive line. Yep. Number 68 on the O-line, 5-yard penalty. McKivitz. the guilty individual there on that O-line for the Niners. Yeah, let me see if I can refresh it real quick. Most of the time it does it on its own automatically, but every once in a while I'll have to refresh it, but we should be good here. Let me see. There we go. Thanks for the heads up. Usually it does it on its own. I would have caught it at some point, but appreciate you. First down and 20, shotgun set, Mac Jones. And a nice crossing route there. Nice stiff arm, breaking the tackle, down the sideline. Oh my, first down, Niners. What a play. Wow. Mac Jones. And again, Mac looks a little bit better than what we saw, from him, obviously in New England. And, again, didn't really have the proper coaching or the proper skill position players to be able to make that work over there. But when you go to the Niners, you're going to be coached up. You got a good GM, obviously. With John Lynch, you got a good coach and Kyle Shanahan, who obviously is very bright and intelligent, just like Sean McVay. Two of my favorite young up-and-coming head coaches in this league. McVay obviously has the Super Bowl, and we obviously know with Kyle Shanahan, he's been to some, but just hasn't been able to get over the hump in the fourth quarter. And again, it'll definitely be a battle every single time that these two coaches go against each other. And they both were coaches together, back in the Redskin era. And again, if you go back and look at the coaching tree for a lot of guys in the NFL, back in the day with Gruden and a lot of the other guys that are in that old school coaching tree and then the new school, a lot of head coaches started off in that Redskin, obviously, coaching department. Little check down there from Mac Jones. And just short of the marker there. Chris Shula, Rams defensive coordinator, 3rd down and 1 after that Mac Jones pass. And Tanguez, 6-yard gain. Curl and Kitchens with the tackle. 3rd down and 1. The Niners look good for considering a lot of their guys are injured, either for the year like Nick Bosa, or for guys that are temporarily hurt like Brock Purdy and George Kittle. But again, when you got a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who also is injury prone, you can use him like a bell cow, and you can work him. And that as long as he doesn't get injured, he's got a chance to score once, twice, maybe even 3 times in a matchup. But so far, the offensive line for the Niners is pushing the D-line back for the Rams, which may be a little surprising here early on, but Christian McCaffrey, when healthy, is one of the best running backs in the game. Man in motion, McCaffrey, 1st and goal, quick pass, touchdown, Niners! And Mac Jones looking like Brock Purdy out there. And hey, when you end up having George Kittle go down and then you end up having to go to his replacement, Jake, I see you. Nice catch and a perfect play call there, by Kyle Shanahan, exploiting the defense in that hole in the middle of the field. And you can definitely tell if they're running zone or man, and they're just running a soft zone. No one was even near him. Great awareness right there by Mac Jones. Brock Purdy could have made that play. Hell, anybody could have made that play. Nice job. Extra point incoming for the Niners. Kick is up and right down the middle, and it's good. 7-0 Niners. Ronald is happy about that. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. They may end up going, with Kirby and then Gilbert in the first 2 games, even though we know Castillo isn't as good on the road and whatnot. And then obviously Wu is still kind of a work in progress. I've been watching some interviews, and it doesn't look like he's ready yet. So again, they're not going to rush him, but hopefully he'll be ready, by game 3 or game 4 on the road, because we do know Wu is one of our better road pitchers. But again, remember, if Wu isn't 100%, again, we don't want a bad version of Wu out there on the road, and then we just get dusted up and killed out there. So we're going to be hoping that the progression, with the Peck, and his regular routine can get back on point, I do think that we're still going to have a very good chance, to beat the Tigers. First 2 games are in Seattle. Then you have Monday off. We travel to Detroit for Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday off. And then if we need game 5, it'll be back in Seattle. So, first team to win 3 games obviously advances. And then at that point, they will be in the ALCS. And then it'll either be, depending on who wins today, I assume it'll be Boston. But again, Boston, New York, whoever wins that will go against Toronto. You would think Toronto would be good enough to beat either team. I think the Red Sox series would be more challenging for them. And that would give us the best 4 teams that are left. Tigers, Mariners, Blue Jays, Red Sox. And I assume the Red Sox will win today. And then you already have the Brewers and the Cubs, playing each other. Divisional rivals should be very competitive, just like the Guardians and Tigers series was, maybe even closer than that. And then obviously we have the 2 teams that are more likely to represent the National League when it's all said and done, between the Phillies and the Dodgers. Too bad we don't get that in the NLCS for the winner to be able to go to the World Series. We get it 1 series prior to the NLDS, but I do believe whoever wins between the Phillies and Dodgers more than likely is going to the World Series. Not to say that the Brewers or the Cubs are not good enough. They are, and again, we just don't know if they can do it, in a long postseason run like the Phillies and Dodgers have. They have that edge because they have that experience of going deep, in the playoffs. Brewers and Cubs, not so much. So we'll see how they handle that pressure cooker. And again, we'll find out, in the next few days what we end up getting, for matchups from the AL and NLDS to the AL and NLCS, and then World Series. And hopefully we get something like Mariners Phillies or Mariners Dodgers. That's what I'm kind of thinking. All right, kick is off. And running into a couple of Niner players and going down pretty quick there. And we get a chance to see now Matthew Stafford. Even though he might be a little bit older, again, 17th season. People thought he was going to be shutting down and not being very good once Aaron Donald retired, but he's showing kind of like Tom Brady. If you end up having great pieces around you at the late stages of your career, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, fly like a butterfly, sting like AB, Antonio Brown, before he got the CTE and ran off on me on that Jets game. If you got good weapons, you can make it happen. Devontae Adams is still, a top 15, type of wide receiver. Puka is number 1 in the NFL as a wide receiver this season. And again, when you got Kyron Williams from Notre Dame, one of the solid top 10 running backs, again, you just want to hope that offensive line does their job. And the Rams have been impressive, since Aaron Donald retired. A lot of people thought that they would drift into non-existency, down with the Cardinals, and they're right there with the Hawks and the Niners. And they have been kind of the, top team the last couple years. Obviously the Niners had that position for a few years. Rams took it, and now Seattle is trying to leapfrog San Francisco and to be closer to the Rams. And again, they got a big game against my Bucks this weekend at home. We have a billion injuries. They only have a little. So I would assume Seattle will have a very good chance, especially if Mike Evans and Bucky Irving are not playing. Hard to win when you don't have your wide receiver 1 and your RB1, but we do have enough depth to compete, and I'm hoping it ends up being a good game. Handoff up the middle, and Kyron Williams close to that first down marker, and he gets it. First down, Rams. Ramily, stand up. But I will be doing both games. I will be doing the Bucks and Seahawks on Sunday at 1 on CBS. And then I will be doing the Mariner game in the evening against the Tigers for game 2 at 5. And then if the Red Sox win, we play at 1 tomorrow, or on Saturday, around that time, 12-1. If the Yankees win, we play at 5. Based off the schedule that they ended up showing. First down and 10, play action fake. Stafford going deep. Wide open down the sideline and overthrows his intended receiver there. That could have been 6. Intended receiver there was Tutu Atwell. And again, if you guys want to watch along based on what I'm watching, and it's not that much of a difference. I mean, but again, if you're watching it on Amazon Prime, watching it on your cell phone will be faster than watching it on your TV app. For whatever reason, there's like a 20-second delay, 25-second. And then if you're watching a streaming link, then you're going to be probably 30 to 40 seconds behind. So just to give everyone a heads up. 2nd down and 10. And it's 12 noon. You know what time it is? Big 49er sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. And again, I would obviously rather watch it on a bigger screen, but I would rather be as close to live as possible. And sometimes I have to watch games that way. I mean, I do got the TV studio on, I got my phone on, I got multiple screens, multiple games on, but again, as live as you can get it. And I don't know why that is. Also I noticed with the Mariners and ESPN, if you end up having the app and you link it through your cable email through your phone, you're going to get the fastest broadcast through your phone than anywhere else. Kyron, right up the middle, scampers for a few yards there. And now it's 4th down, and I assume they're going to punt here. And you never know, what individuals will be watching, based on catchphrases that people will try to steal, like Uncle Mo for Peter Schrager, on Good Morning Football. Obviously, his career now takes him to ESPN, a guy that would watch this channel and steal our material on the daily. And then obviously with the sack lunch, EA Sports watches this channel, and they decided to even put that in their video game. So, it's kind of flattering, when you can end up getting people to steal your material, but also on the flip side, to not give you credit for what you're coming up with is another thing as well. 7-0 Niners. Great start for them. Congratulations to the Tigers and the Cubs. And again, we will find out in a few hours if it ends up being the Red Sox or the New York Yankees that play the Toronto Blue Jays. Definitely looking forward to that. And it definitely feels very exciting, in this MLB wildcard playoff stage. Obviously, we know the NFL and college football is in full swing, but it definitely feels like it's more competitive than it maybe has ever been. Not just the fact that the Mariners are in the postseason, but just looking at the matchups, Phillies and Dodgers, obviously two powerhouses, Cubs and Brewers, who are rivals in that division already in the National League. Then you get the Tigers and Mariners. When we played them in Detroit before the All-Star break, we swept them and scored 35 runs, and they collapsed. And then the Guardians ended up taking the division, but they got payback when it mattered the most in the postseason. And then obviously you got the matchup now, Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees. They hate each other. Lots of passion, lots of fire in that particular series. And then the winner will play the Blue Jays. And we know how good Toronto is with Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and especially George Springer. If you end up looking at his numbers from last year to this year, that's one of the key reasons why Toronto ended up getting a bye and being one of the best teams in the American League in 2025. 1st down and 10 at the San Francisco 9. 7-0 here early by the Niner gang. Mike in the building, what's good? And then obviously the Ducks play Indiana next Saturday. So we'll be just doing the Mariner game, obviously at either 1 o'clock, noon-ish. That's if the Red Sox win. And then if it ends up being the Yankees win, then it'll be on around 5-ish. And then on Sunday, we're going to do a doubleheader. We're going to do Buccaneers and Seahawks at 1:05. And then as soon as that's over, we're going to dip into game 2 for the Mariners and Tigers at T-Mobile. So it'll be a long day on Sunday. But again, Seattle is going to be a rockin', and I can't wait to be able to see, how all the matchups play out. I wish, Tampa was a little healthier, so that way it would be, more of a, healthy on healthy matchup, but should still be a good game regardless. Both teams are 3-1. Both teams are playoff teams. Both teams are hungry. Seahawks and Bucks. Handoff up the middle to Christian McCaffrey, and tackled from behind. 5-yard gain there by Run CMC. Gained another sub, 52 subs to go to 22,400. And if we can get some of the regulars in the room to help out with the likes, that would be greatly appreciated. Throw to the sideline, caught. First down, Niners, but there's a flag on the play. That might be holding on the O-line. Personal foul. Wow, roughing the passer on the Rams. Huge play. Josiah Stewart can't do that, my guy. You can't hit Mac Jones late. Oh, yeah, definitely late there. And we'll be obviously shooting for the 100 likes, but depending on how many people we have in the room, if we have under 100, then we're going to be shooting for 50 to 75. And then if we get close in the fourth quarter with the matchup between these two teams, then we might get a little bit of spike of viewership. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train. We're at 199 to go and 5 to 15 subs. We got one new sub, 14 more to go. Short gain right up the middle. And they're definitely going with a daily dose of Christian McCaffrey, which is not a big surprise. George Kittle is out. Pearsall is out. Purdy is out. So you only have so many particular options that you can go to. But again, they already showed you, that they can go to others and they can come up big in this situation. Next man up mentality. Second down and 5, handoff. McCaffrey, and a nice tackle there by the Rams. Short gain. Poona Ford with the nice tackle on Run CMC. Lost a yard. Poona Ford with the tackle. Third down and 6 at the San Francisco 45. These bots are relentless during football season, let me tell you. When I do NFL and college football, it's nonstop. But thankfully, when we do baseball, we don't have to worry about that as much. Shotgun set on third down and 6. Mac Jones steps up in the pocket, throws across his body, and Run CMC just short of the first down marker. Fourth down in inches. And it'll be interesting to see if they end up going for it or not. Shanahan is definitely an aggressive coach, and they already have a 7-0 lead. Like, why not, right? I mean, you can do a QB sneak with Mac Jones and get a first down, or obviously try to draw them off sides with a hard count, which they might do here. Or you could end up doing a direct snap to a running back or wide receiver, and that could get you a first down. But it looks like they're going to initially line up and try to go for it or to draw them off sides to get the automatic first down. There we go. Sneak. First down, Niners. Good play call by Kyle Shanahan. And you could have done that with anybody there. Little tush-push action. I see you. QB sneak. I don't think he really needed that much of a push there. And it wasn't even really a tush-push because no one pushed him. Come on, Herb Street. Come on, Al Michaels. No one pushed him in the back or the butt. He got the QB sneak on his own, Mac Jones. Yeah, obviously the Guardians would have been easier to play. We would match up easier with them. But again, if you want to be able to make it to the promised land, nice catch. Triple covered. Ayuk on the pup list. And Valdez-Scantling, MVS, former Packer, coming up big there. Nine-yard gain, Kitchens with the tackle. But again, if we got to go against the Tigers, the Red Sox, or the Blue Jays, and then play the Dodgers or Phillies in the World Series, so be it. It's going to be a hard path, but, we're built, in my opinion, stronger, deeper, than any team in the American League. No disrespect to the Tigers, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and the Yankees. They're good teams, but, I kind of feel like we're kind of like the Phillies and the Dodgers in the National League. And you could throw the Brewers there as well. Like, I feel like we're one of the powerhouse teams. Now we just have to prove it, that we can get the job done. 3rd down and 1 at the Rams 39. And let's see what kind of play they decide to go here. Man in motion. Play action fake. Mac Jones looking, floater. And for whatever reason, fullback didn't turn around. Pass incomplete. 4th down and 1. And we'll see if Shanahan goes for it again. Juszczyk was the intended fullback, and you don't see too many teams running fullbacks. It's not like they have ones like, they used to be on Tampa, like Mike Alstott, who ended up being a fullback and turned into a halfback because he was so good at running the football. But, Alstott is a true one of one. You'll never see one like that ever again. 4th down and 1. Niners, let's see. Timeout is called. They were going to try to draw them off sides, and we'll see what they do here off the timeout. So far, Niners in firm control in this trap game for the Rams, and obviously time of possession will be key. The longer that the Niners can have these longer drives, that will obviously keep the football out of the hands of Kyren Williams, Devontae Adams, and the number 1 receiver in the NFL this year, Puka Nacua. And, at any given moment, Puka can go the distance and score. And Devontae Adams has had a little bit of a rebirth in his career as well. We know how good he was, obviously, with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. With the Raiders, it wasn't really a great fit there. You had Carr for a little bit. They were both college teammates at Fresno State. But once he got traded, to the Saints, it wasn't really the same, type of Devontae Adams. And this is a good fit for him, to be on a team like the Rams. Probably the closest thing that he has to being back when he was younger with Aaron Rodgers on the Packers. A lot of good skill position players on Los Angeles. 4th down and 1, handoff up the middle. And it looks like Robinson gets that 1st down. 1st down, Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Move the chains. Nice job by Robinson there to get that 1st down. 1st down and 10 at the Los Angeles Ram 38. Man in motion. Trick play, reverse, double reverse, little flea flicker, and it goes back to McCaffrey. Look at the trickery by Shanahan. Wow. And the Rams are fast out there, and Run CMC is looking for a face mask or a horse collar, but doesn't get it. Cool kid in the building. What's good? But I'm definitely looking forward to accessing some more content here, through Prime, which I normally don't have throughout the year. I only have it for maybe a quarter of the year during football season, but it may be time to rewatch The Boys. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. It's like kind of a superhero show that's a little bit more edgy and very, very well written. New season will be coming out, obviously, later on, obviously in the near future. Robinson doing another good job here up the middle. And again, to be able to have, the luxury of CMC and Robinson, back and forth, it's a nice 1-2 punch. And we saw how good Robinson was on the Commanders when he was there. Nice 4-yard gain. 1st down, Niners. Shotgun set. Jones going deep, one-on-one. Caught. And pushed out of bounds. Robinson with the big catch on the sideline there. And Demarcus Robinson, former Ram, trying to go against his former team here, being on the Niners, and just couldn't get both feet down. 2nd down and 10 at the Rams 26. Shotgun set, handoff up the middle. And a nice gang tackle there by the Rams. Trips up Run CMC for a gain of a couple. And that's the end of the first quarter, 7-0 Niners. And again, trap game for the Rams, being 3-1. I mean, if you're the Hawks, it's probably, it doesn't really benefit you either way. I mean, both teams are 3-1 like Seattle. Seattle's going to have a very good chance to beat Tampa at home with a banged up roster. I mean, I got literally 16 guys, that are injured for a week or two, injured to the point where they may or may not play. And again, a lot of the main guys are banged up. Baker, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, and we already started the year off, with a couple of our main studs that we didn't have for the first 4 weeks. We just got Godwin and Wirfs. So for us to be 3-1, obviously played the Eagles, and that's the best team in the NFC, arguably the best team in football, not named the Buffalo Bills. So, again, if special teams was a little bit better and we didn't give up a blocked punt for a touchdown in our first possession against Philly, I think we would have been able to beat them. And, we have beaten them 5 out of the last 6 going into that matchup. So we are kind of the kryptonite for Philly. But, again, their special teams might be number 1 in the NFL this year, obviously with blocking field goals and blocking punts for touchdowns. And, again, I know that will be something that Seattle will try to exploit. Obviously with us needing to get a new punter and probably a new special teams coach as well, but hopefully it ends up being competitive, and definitely looking forward to the Bucks and the Seahawks on Sunday at 1, which we'll do here on the live stream, and then doing the Mariner game right after that, game number 2, and hopefully that'll be after the Mariners win game 1, and we'll figure out who ends up starting for us. Sounds like it'll be more than likely George Kirby or Logan Gilbert to start it off, even though we do know Castillo is better at home than on the road, but, we'll have to just kind of wait and see how that all plays out. So I would assume that if we do go a certain path, maybe we will go Kirby 1, Gilbert 2, Wu, if he's ready for that first road start, and then Castillo, and then game 5 would go back to probably Kirby, and that's probably what we would like, so. No, but the thing is, Cool Kid, you want me to show you the list on how many players that you guys have hurt compared to what we have hurt? We literally have 20, individuals that are hurt. You guys have 6. That's not the same, okay? So you guys have a couple injuries, to a couple guys, but that's not the same as if you look at the list what Tampa has. Go look on the internet and you can kind of look at the breakdown side by side. But last time I checked, 20 compared to 6, there's a little bit of a difference there. And on top of that, it's our main guys, quarterback, starting wide receiver number 1, Mike Evans, hamstring, not playing, number 1 running back, Bucky Irving. So, I mean, if you had no Sam Darnold and you had no Kenneth Walker III and you had no JSN, on top of your defensive guys, you would understand. 3rd down and 9. And again, we can still beat you guys, even with the injuries, but I'm just saying, this is the most injuries that we've had up at this point, so we'll see how it all breaks down. But, having 20 guys banged up compared to 5 or 6 is not the same, my guy. And if you don't believe me, look on the internet and it'll show you the graph on how many guys we have hurt compared to you guys. Not even close. Nice catch there. Mac Jones to DeMarcus Robinson for 18 yards to the 6. Halfback toss. Run CMC, finding the hole, leaning forward, down to the 1. Sarah in the building, what's good? Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. We'll find out who we get between the Yankees and Red Sox here tonight, and that'll be the winner will play, obviously, the Blue Jays. And the National League is looking awesome. Cubs, Brewers, they don't like each other. They're in the same division. Phillies, Dodgers look like the 2 best. And whoever wins that series more than likely will represent the National League, unless the Brewers or Cubs get hot enough, even with the playoff inexperience. But it'll take a hell of an effort to beat the Phillies or the Dodgers, in my opinion. Floater towards the sideline, touchdown. Christian McCaffrey runs CMC in the end zone. Mac Jones looking like Brock Purdy out there. And it's an early 13-0 lead. Niners taking full advantage with run CMC here early and often. Extra point is up, right down the middle, and good. 14-0 lead. Ronald, he's like, I'm liking this. And a nice early lead here for the Niners. And, at some point the Rams will strike, but again, Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy, arguably maybe the most important piece that's not a quarterback, on an offensive team in the league. Again, we know how good Saquon is, at running back when he's going, but he hasn't really been going off the same type of way as he did last year. They're not really running the ball as much. They're throwing it a little bit more for Philadelphia, but the recipe is still working. They're still undefeated. They're still finding ways to win games. A.J. Brown and Saquon haven't been a part of the offense as much. But again, I imagine Jalen will be able to get them plenty of touches as the year goes on. Sarah with a $5. Appreciate you. Stacks. Rax with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. $5 holla. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you. And here I'm going to break down the list for, obviously the Hawks have, 5-6 guys. Some of them might play, but look at this list. You can't tell me. This is like my whole fucking team, right? Nickel corner, Mike Evans, Gaines on the line, Bucky Irving, Izzy in another corner, Baker, Morrison, another starting corner, wide receiver, another starting safety, Levante David, Logan Hall, Reddick, Wirfs, Godwin. That's like all my whole fucking team. So to act like the Seahawks have as many injuries as Tampa, and we're 3-1. I mean, look at those names. That's literally almost my whole offense and my whole defense. So, when we're beat up, I'm not over exaggerating. It's probably the most injuries we've had in the last 15 years. We have not had, and to be 3-1, with all of those injuries is fucking insane. And again, if we didn't play the Eagles, we probably could have been 4-0, or if we didn't have so many fucking injuries and whatnot. But again, you got to have that next man up mentality. But, even with that being said, not everyone's got great backups, that are in the NFL. Once you go from your starters and then you go to your backups, there's pretty significant drop off. First down and 10. See if the Rams can get cooking here. A little screen pass. And Puka Nacua finally getting a catch to get going. And getting Salah back for the Niners defensive coordinator has been huge for them. No points allowed in the first quarter through the first 5 games. Longest streak since the Broncos in 2015, and that's because of Salah. Nice 5-yard game by Nacua. Lenore with the tackle. Go Ducks. 14-0 Niners in a trap game for the Rams here. And you have to assume they're going to have to go to a daily dose of Kyron, but you got to get Puka, and you got to be able to get Devontae Adams some looks. Pass incomplete. Kyron Williams, the intended running back. 3rd down and 5. But again, it's always going to be a competitive matchup when you get teams that play each other, within the division, whether that ends up being, the Rams and the Seahawks, the Seahawks and the Niners, or any combination of the teams except for the Cardinals. Obviously every once in a while they'll steal a game from these other three teams, the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks, but they've been little brother for quite some time, and it's going to take a while for them to catch up to the other three, and that's been kind of the story for quite some time. Shotgun set on 3rd down and 5. Stafford got a man open. There's Puka. There we go. 1st down, Rams. Move the chains. And it'll be very interesting to see how the Niners defense plays either man-to-man or zone, as the game progresses. Right now they're playing kind of like a soft zone, and obviously the Niners were able to take advantage of it, on the Rams defensive side, by having guys, just pretty much playing that soft area. And we'll see if the same thing happens with the Niners. A little bit more aggressive on their side of the ball so far. Kyren Williams run right up the middle for a couple yards. Gain of about 1 or 2. 14-0 Niners here early. 2-yard gain by Kyren Williams. Fred Warner and Davis with the gang tackle there. 2nd down and 8 at the San Francisco 48, and they need points on this drive. Like, we're talking a minimum of 3, but if they want to kind of keep pace, they better score. And we're talking tutties. But the Niner defense obviously has been very aggressive here early on. And Kyren with a nice cutback, but you got 3-4 Niners right in his grill. And again, great speed and great awareness by that Niner D. Short gain there again for Kyren Williams. Six-yard gain by Kyren, the stud from Notre Dame. Stout with the tackle. Now a capable 3rd down and 2. And again, they're going to have to try to use Kyren like how the Niners with Mac Jones are using Run CMC. They're built different, but you can use a similar type of style of play. You're going to have to get Kyren some screen passes as well. Handoff up the middle, and Fred Warner with a great tackle. Wow. Preventing the 1st down, and Fred Warner obviously has been and will be, one of the best linebackers in the game, and has been for quite a few years. Just time of possession, Niners, taking advantage, early with Christian McCaffrey. And again, once you get in the end zone once with McCaffrey, then all the attention goes on him. And, Mac Jones has gotten enough time with that offensive line to make enough plays. Handoff up the middle on 4th down and 1. 1st down, Rams. And again, if Kyle Shanahan's going to go for it on 4th down, Sean McVay will mirror him and do the same thing. Now, obviously, they're going to be strategic about it. They're not going to go for it every single time. But in a game like this, with a lot of pride on the line, both of these guys' coaching careers started off with the Washington Redskins. They were both obviously, doing different jobs back then. And it's kind of crazy to be able to see the development of where those guys were and where they're at now. 1st down and 10. Stafford. Halfback draw. Wow. 1st down, Rams. Beautiful play call there. And Blake Corum from Michigan, RB2 coming in with the change of pace back, and that definitely fooled them. And a big 1st down from the Ramley there. Great blocking up front as well. A hat on a hat, and obviously you get that late, halfback draw. And Corum obviously, built a little bit different than Kyren, a little bit more of like a bowling ball like MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew, and he'll be able to run over a few guys, based on that big upper body. Man in motion, a little flip. Oh, fumble, and he fumbled it away. Wow. Niners with a turnover. What happened to my hands? And that's why you don't run, halfback tosses like that, especially if a guy may not be able to come up with the football. Wow. You can't do that. You can't be getting cute out there. And a big turnover there. And that's why if you're going to do a toss, you don't do it with fucking Blake Corum, a guy that's built more like a fullback. If you're going to toss one like that, right, you do it to only Kyren, and that's it. And that was a stupid play call there. 2nd And again, you're going to trust your RB2 after getting a first down with an opportunity to catch a toss, which he probably doesn't do very often. And we'll see if the Niners can score again here. Yeah, weather in the Pacific Northwest obviously has been, getting a little bit more, showers as of late, which is kind of nice, if I'm being honest. We had a really hot summer in Oregon and Washington. I mean, compared to some other places, obviously, if you live in the Midwest or the South, you guys had it worse. But, it's kind of nice to have the cooler temperatures and, allows me and Paisley to go on longer walks and kind of enjoy everything out there. And, it's nice that I actually have a pup that doesn't mind the rain. It could be pouring down rain and we could still go for like a 45-minute walk. And that's always nice to see. Big fumble recovery there off the questionable play call from Stafford, flipping it to Blake Corum one-handed and him closing his hands a little too early. And a risky play to call in that particular situation, especially when you're down 14. And I imagine they won't be running that play to Blake Corum probably the rest of the year. Again, you have to make sure, if you're not going to be giving it to the running back right in his stomach and you're going to trust someone to catch it off a toss, you make sure that they have good hands and they're actually paying attention. And definitely the Niners have a chance now to go up 21-0 or even 17-0. They've dominated the first quarter and the time of possession. They've dominated the second quarter. And again, I figured this game would be competitive, and I did think it was going to be a trap game for the Rams, but I did not see the Niners being up this much this early. Appreciate that. It'll be interesting to see how many touches Corum gets the rest of the game now. Mac Jones. And a little jet sweep there. And it shows you, Mac Jones may not be a great quarterback, but if you go to the Niners and you go, to a location that typically has good skill position players, normally a good O-line, and normally a great defense with a great play caller in Kyle Shanahan, even with the injuries to Kittle and, and Brock and, many, many others, Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, they can still find ways to be productive out there. So sometimes it's not, where you're playing, it's who you're playing for. And again, obviously the Patriots compared to the Niners, it's a big difference, based on mentality, especially post Tom Brady and Belichick era. Nice catch there by Mac Jones. And we already knew Mac wasn't going to succeed, in New England, and he wouldn't succeed in New England right now either, but to be able to be a backup on a team like the Niners is probably a dream come true for him. Now he's just probably hoping that, he can get, George Kittle out there to make him look good if Purdy ends up still having some lingering injuries, and they can get, Pearsall, healthy and good to go, as well as Juwan Jennings and a few others. First down and 10, halfback toss. McCaffrey doesn't drop a toss, and a nice tackle there by the Rams. Gain of a couple. Chief in the building. What's good? I was about to say, I figured someone will update us, based on the score, and we will find out if we end up getting the Red Sox that will advance over the Yankees, or if the Yankees will find a way to win 2 in a row and end up playing the Blue Jays. Yeah, definitely a trap game. But again, Christian McCaffrey, one of the only guys that's kind of healthy on the offense, and they've been going heavy to him. And again, if you don't have an answer for Christian McCaffrey, it's going to be a long day. Very athletic. And we know Christian does get hurt from time to time. But when he's healthy, he might be the most dynamic, player that's not a quarterback, especially a guy with his skill set. But, when he runs that type of way, he is going to be prone to injuries. But he's one of the guys that, can run it anywhere. Halfback dive, counter, toss, reverse. And he's great as a pass catcher. There's not a lot of running backs that are amazing like him. You give him a 5-yard screen, he might take it 60 to the house, and not many running backs you could say that about. Him, Saquon, and a few others. Jahmyr Gibbs, and there's a few, Bucky, but pass incomplete. And that was a big play there on 3rd down and 5. Now it's 4th down and 5, and we'll assume that the Niners will respect the Rams at some point, and we will assumingly get a punt here momentarily. But that should have been a catch. It hit him right in the hands. What happened to my hands? You got to catch that. Kendrick Bourne, you got to grab that, my guy. Yeah. And also, Stafford's playing great this year. Kyron Williams is great. Puka's the number 1 receiver. Devontae Adams has had a rebirth in his career. They don't have Tyler Higbee, which will hurt them. But again, the offensive line and the defensive line have been getting beat for the Rams. And again, if the Rams are going to want to be able to impose their will, they are going to need to be able to win the offensive line battle against the D-line on the Niners and Fred Warner at linebacker, but also Saleh, who was the defensive coordinator when they were really, really good back in the day, right? And then he ended up, being a head coach, got fired from the Jets. They've moved on, and now he's the defensive coordinator again. And they haven't given up points in the first quarter in the first 5 games. So it shows you the Saleh effect is real. And some guys are just built better to be offensive and defensive coordinators rather than being head coaches. Some guys are meant to lead, but other guys are meant to, call plays and to have strategy involved. And sometimes when you're a head coach and you're trying to be defensive coordinator, or you're a head coach and you're trying to call plays, sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. It just kind of depends on who you are. Now, if you're like Sean McVay or Shanahan, you can handle it. But, for guys that usually call defense, normally it's better for someone else, to be able to, go down that path. But, some guys have a hard time of letting go, especially when they know they're very good at what they do. I just showed my list, and again, we play the Seahawks. Look at this list. Show me a list that's been bigger than this for any team this year. Show me a list of injuries that's bigger than this ever. I've never seen one. Jamel Dean starter, Mike Evans starter, Gaines starter, Bucky starter, Izzian starter, Baker starter, Morrison starter, Shepard normally in the 3 wide receiver lineup, Tyke Smith starter, Levante starter, Logan Hall starter, Reddick starter, Wirf starter, Godwin starter, and then obviously you got Heck, who normally would be a backup, but we've had some injuries, and McCollum starter. It's almost like, oh, my fucking team, right? So again, we know the Seahawks got 5 or 6 guys that are, banged up. And out of those 5 or 6 guys, maybe 3 of them may or may not play, but the other 3 will. My list is a little bit bigger, and no excuses, next man up. But again, when you have literally your whole starting lineup on both sides of the squad banged up to a certain degree, and, again, hard to be able to beat teams like the Eagles, but we're still, obviously 3-1, had to come back in the 4th quarter with Baker Mayfield 3 times in the first 3 weeks. Thank God we have Baker, MVP candidate. And again, it's not going to be easy facing the Seahawks in Seattle. Both teams are 3-1. I just want my team to be healthy, so that way we can win the NFC South, and then we'll see, who ends up playing the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, which is a good possibility. It could be Tampa, the Detroit Lions, or someone else. Shotgun set, Stafford. And it almost makes me sick looking at the list because, I've had injuries like every other team where it's like a couple guys, maybe as many as like 5 or 6, but never that many, where you're almost looking at like 20 fucking players. We do realize it's 11 on 11 in, football. And they definitely need to get Puka and Devontae Adams here going. But again, they cannot abandon the run. You have to keep continuing to go to Kyron. Otherwise, it's going to get out of hand. And a false start there by Jackson. 1st down and 15 at the Rams 10. Yeah, I just like the injuries as well. Stafford and tries to thread the needle into Devontae Adams. Incomplete. Appreciate your support, my guy. Stacks. Racks with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. Appreciate you. Another $10 holla on the Dono train. I mean, I don't exaggerate. I call it 100 right down the middle. Second down and 15. There we go. Devontae Adams with the grab and kind of having a, resurgence in his career playing with Stafford. And again, the Niner defense is obviously bringing everything that they can, in this trap game for Los Angeles. But you would assume, especially in the second half, that you'll get a little bit more Rams offense, as the Niners tire out. But so far, they've been pretty amazing. Third down and 4 on the Rams 21. Shotgun set, 4 wide receiver set, and now they have trips left on that left side. Stafford looking, and get it close to Puka, but there's a flag on the play. And this might be a hold on the Niners. If this is defensive holding, that'll be an automatic first down for the Rams. And, they're definitely looking for 6 before halftime. Holding, defense, big hold there. Automatic first down. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes. 100 on the dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. We've already gained a couple subs already. Going long, going deep. And pass incomplete. Intended receiver was Puka Nacua. And if you look at his numbers this season, with yards and receptions and touchdowns, he is taken over as the number 1 receiver in the league. We obviously know Jetta, Jamar Chase. But again, if you end up having a, rookie quarterback, or you end up having a quarterback that ends up getting injured in J.J. McCarthy, obviously for Jetta, and then you end up having Joe Burrow go down, for Jamar Chase, it leaves the door open for some other guys that actually have a quarterback that's healthy to put up some big numbers. Shotgun set on second down and 10, little check down to Kyron Williams, slips through 1 tackle through Fred Warner, and a gain of about 5 or 6 there. Third down and 4. 6-yard gain there. And this is a must-score drive for the Los Angeles Rams. Warner with the tackle. Third down and 4 at the Rams 32. 14-0. Bang, bang, Niner gang. And again, Niners are beat up. Again, we talk about how injured Tampa is. No Brock Purdy, right? No George Kittle. No Ricky Pearsall. Bosa out for the year. And with all that being said, they lost to the Jags last week, but they still look like a team that will compete. And a big catch there towards that sideline. First down, Rams. But it does look like we're going to have a 3-team race. Niners, Hawks, and Rams, to decide on, 2 of those 3 teams are going to make the playoffs. Who's going to be the team that's left out? Nobody knows just yet. I mean, we obviously know the Cardinals aren't going to be in it, but the Rams, the Seahawks, and Niners have played very well in the first month. Terrence Ferguson, T-Ferg, go Ducks, especially with Higbee out. Big first down. Play action fake, Stafford, good protection, got a man, wide open, first down, Rams. There we go, Rams getting in their bag now. And just in the nick of time before the game got a little out of control, especially after that fumbled snap by Blake Corum. He'll probably not get to touch the football the rest of the game. And if he does, it'll be minimal. But a nice play action fake to Kyron there. Could have went with the check down. And then they decided to go with a deeper option there with Whittington. Nice catch by Whittington, 22 yards. Pinnock with the tackle. First down and 10 at the Niner 25. Let's go. I want to see competitive matchups on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night, baby. Play action, bootleg, rolling to his right. Got a man. Avoids 1 tackle, lean forward. And close to the marker there. Yeah, Chief, I hate injuries too. And it wouldn't be as bad if that list that I showed was like backups. Like if it's a bunch of second and third stringers, it's like, fuck, that sucks, but when it ends up being a majority of your starters on offense and defense, and some of them are going to play with the injury, but again, you're not going to get a full strength person when they've been beat up, in the last 4 weeks. First down and 10 on the San Francisco 14. Little check down, wide open. Touchdown, Rams, wide open, Kyren Williams. And that was a blown coverage by the Niners playing a soft zone, and Kyren makes them pay. And again, on the thumbnail, I put 2 individuals that we're going to break out. On the left, Christian McCaffrey. On the right, Kyren Williams. They both have gotten in the end zone. You got them in fantasy. You're cashing in, baby. Nice job. And that was must-see TV. Niners bringing all blitz. They got man coverage there. And again, they have a soft zone, with half of the players, man with the other half. And again, if you get caught up in that zone, when the man players are going in a different direction, that's going to lead to a wide open Kyren Williams as he high steps into the end zone. Extra point attempt is up and right down the middle, and it's good. 14-7 Niners. What a good game here. And again, I obviously chose this game over, the MLB wild card because I did feel that it would be worth doing. And again, we haven't done too many Thursday night games up to this point, because the Mariners obviously have been in the mix, playing and whatnot. So again, but the matchups get better for Thursday night in December. That's when it really starts cooking, but we'll see where it goes here tonight. Great game so far. And again, if you do have Amazon Prime, watch it on your phone rather than watching it on the TV. It'll be faster. I don't know why that is, but it seems like everything that you watch on an app on your phone will be faster than watching it on your cable, in your living room if you have it, or if you're watching it through an app through your television, which has a delay for whatever reason. Yeah, when you cast it to the TV, or even when you're using the app that, the TV has built in, because I always do a side-by-side, even when I was noticing with like Root Sports, if I ended up using Root Sports through the computer, it was slower than me using it on the phone. So sometimes when I'm calling games, I'll have my TV in the studio on, but sometimes I'm calling games just off my, my phone, just because it's going to be faster. And obviously would I enjoy watching, all my games on big screens? Of course, but I don't want to watch it on the big screen if it's going to be 20 to 30 seconds behind. If I have an option that's going to be faster and live, even if it's on a smaller screen, as long as I can call the game, here on the channel, and I can still see what's going on. I have stat pages that are up to assist, through ESPN or NFL.com or MLB.com and whatnot. So, but I don't know. I'm always experimenting, in every room to kind of see, okay, we know there's streaming links that some have been shut down, in the last year and a half, and then the new ones pop up. But when you use a streaming link, you're going to have a delay, of usually like 30 seconds to 45 seconds. If you're lucky, you might be able to find a streaming link that, might be 20 to 25 behind. But even when you end up going through, a paid service like Prime, or you end up linking your email through your cable account and then trying to watch games, there's still a delay for whatever reason. But when you go through your cell phone, it like taps in, from the live broadcast, maybe somewhere else, and then you end up getting it as live as possible. So just something that I would pass along to a few of y'all if you guys want to kind of keep up with what I'm doing. But if you're watching it on Prime on your TV, you won't be that far behind. It's obviously still going to be live, but just a little delay of maybe 15 to 20 seconds. So. But I always, link, devices up at the same time to see which one would be the best way to go. We got the 2-minute warning, 2nd down and 10 at the San Francisco 33. And obviously the Niners are going to try like hell to get into field goal range to go up by, 17-7 if they can. Best case scenario, they go up 21-7. But it seems like the Rams defense is starting to, find a little bit of a rhythm. But again, if you go to Christian McCaffrey, easier said than done. You can game plan all you want, but how many people can actually tackle Christian McCaffrey in the open field? Not fucking many. So. But a great game, and I got no regrets doing this one today. And again, once we get a score between the Red Sox and Yankees, I figure we'll get an update. I assume the Red Sox will beat the Yankees and they'll play the Blue Jays. I think that'll be more of an entertaining series anyways, but we will find out if that's the case. 2nd down and 10 at the San Francisco 33. Mac Jones under center, play action bootleg, rolling to his left. Looking, got a man wide open. Soft zone by the Rams. First down, Niners. Kendrick Bourne with the catch. And Mac Jones, he looks good, with all things considered, but anyone will look good if your offensive line is doing a good job. You can end up being a starter, from the New England Patriots in the past. You could be a backup quarterback, but the tall tale sign is how good is the offensive line? And if you got a good offensive line, you're going to look better yourself because you're going to have more time to go through the progressions. And obviously your running back will be able to find those holes easier. Mac Jones, little check down and popped out. Incomplete. Nice hit by Landman. 2nd down and 10. And obviously if the Rams can force a 3 and out, that would be key, to see if they can get it to 14-10. But I mean, there's only 1:20 left. So, and we have an injury on the field. We got a Ramley player down. I don't know. A lot of NFL players are in, different type of commercials nowadays. I don't know about Wingstop though. Taco Bell. Devontae did Taco Bell commercials. And we know Baker Mayfield is a new spokesman for Popeyes. And we see him in commercials and whatnot. But $1:16 left here in the second quarter. $2-0 Yankees in the bottom of the fourth with bases loaded. So Yankees are trying to be able to make their way, obviously, into the postseason. And they got bases loaded with 1 out. Wow. Yankees pouring it on. Boston will need a big comeback, especially if they end up scoring a little bit more. And if you're the Blue Jays, I don't know who you would want more. Between the Yankees and Red Sox, I don't think it really matters. It's still going to be tough, with those two teams. But I mean, we'll see what happens. If the Yankees end up beating the Red Sox and they beat the Blue Jays, it won't hurt my feelings if we beat the Tigers and have to beat the Yankees to make the World Series. But if you just look at the teams, like the Yankees don't really feel like World Series worthy this year. I mean, they made it last year and they had Juan Soto and they were legit, but they just got outplayed by the Dodgers, obviously in the World Series by their pitching and defense. So for the Yankees to make it again would be a little wild. It would be more likely that the Dodgers make it again, but obviously Philadelphia is in their way. And then they would have to get past Milwaukee or Chicago, obviously on that other bracket as well. So we will see. But New York feeding off the crowd early. And again, it looks like unless the Red Sox end up having a miracle, they might not be able to come back. I was actually kind of, rooting more for the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. I thought that would be a little bit more entertaining. But again, a lot of people either love the Yankees or hate the Yankees. So it'll give you a reason to either root for them or root for them to lose. I would rather see the Blue Jays after we beat the Tigers if we were able to beat them. But, if the Yankees end up beating the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, then I guess that's where we have to go if we want to get to the World Series. And a little halfback dive by Christian McCaffrey, but there's a flag on the play. Maybe false start, maybe on that O-line or holding on the O-line. Illegal formation by the offensive line. Penalty is decline. 3rd down. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Third down and 10. And timeout by Kyle Shanahan to talk it over. Yeah, Jared Verse and Trent Williams, 2 beasts that are going to be going at each other like a war on every single play. Big play here for the Rams to keep this game kind of close. And we'll see what each coach, because both of these coaches, they're not playing checkers, they're playing chess. And they're very, very intelligent, based on their play calls. 2 of the smartest that are in the NFL. The difference is McVay can actually get the job done late. Unfortunately, Shanahan hasn't figured out how to coach in big games in the 4th yet. First down, Niners. Nice play there. Tongas with the catch, who already has a tutty, filling in for George Kittle. And he's making the most of his opportunity while Kittle is out. Tongas, who would have thought that he would be the guy that would be targeted this much early in the matchup. Shotgun set for Mac Jones. First down and 10. Demarcus Robinson, the former Ram, with the catch there towards the sideline. Second down and 2 with that 8-yard gain. Shotgun set, Mac Jones, pressure, throw to the sideline, and a nice diving attempt to kind of block that one and knock it away. Third down and 2 for the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, I watched interviews with Wu and with his pec, and again, he's not going to pitch in game 1 or game 2. Realistically, we'll probably have to wait until like game 3 or game 4, or maybe even game 5 for him to be ready. So, but again, if you throw him out there and he's not healthy, you don't want him to get rocked and all of a sudden he gives up like 3-4 runs in the first inning. So we want to make sure that he's good to go. McCaffrey up the middle. First down, Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Move the chains. Tick, 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 tick. And a spike by Mac Jones. And they're in good position here for the field goal, but they are hungry and thirsty for the tutty. Yeah, like if the Sox would have had another Crochet type of pitcher, this one probably would have been in the bag. But, once you get past, some of the initial guys, sometimes it gets a little thin with some of these teams. And obviously we know the Yankees have not had access to Garrett Cole, which definitely has hurt them. And they haven't been as good without Juan Soto on the team either after he left to go to the Mets. Second down and 10. And pass deflected there by the Rams, incomplete. Third down and 10 for Mac Jones. Yankees, Blue Jays, Tigers, Mariners to make it to the World Series, man. Brewers, Cubs, Phillies, Dodgers. We're getting down to the final 8. Obviously, assuming that the New York Yankees hang on and the Red Sox don't have a comeback. But again, coming back from 4 will be tough, especially in an elimination game on the road with the fans going against you. So 30-second timeout. Next Thursday night, Eagles and Giants. And normally with the Giants, it's not that exciting, but Jackson Dart, much better than Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. And Scattaboo, really fun to watch. The only problem is Malik Neighbors, torn ACL. If he could have just waited 1 more week or 2 more weeks, so we could have gotten that, Neighbors, Scattaboo, and Dart connection with that trio. We'll have to wait until next year, but a nice kind of trio to build around for the Giants. And the Saints, if they were smart, they would have taken Jackson Dart. But again, they are tanking, for maybe the first pick. And I don't know if that'll be Dante Moore from the Ducks or someone else, but they got a lot of pieces to fill. Third down and 10. 9 seconds left here before halftime. Handoff up the middle. Christian McCaffrey rumbling and bumbling. And timeout is called with 2 seconds left. And they're going to go for a field goal here to try to go up 17-7 before halftime. And the Niners have played this first half as perfectly as you possibly could have played it. Besides that turnover by Corum, if they would have been able to get points on that drive, it would have been 100%. But overall, with everything that they've had to deal with injuries, it's definitely, a solid A grade, for the Niners at this point. And obviously with the Rams, time of possession has killed them. They haven't been able to really get into a rhythm, but they're still only down at this point 7, but it may end up being 10 here in a moment. But Mac Jones is definitely impressed, here on the road, filling in for Brock Purdy. With no George Kittle, no Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, no Nick Bosa on the other side. 4th down and 2, kick is up, and right down the middle, and it's good. 37-yard attempt is good. And now we have a 17-7 lead at halftime. All right, halftime is 12 minutes long. I'm going to tap into the Yankees and the Red Sox. (4-0) Yankees. All right, so I got that flipped on now. We wait for 12 minutes. Yankees Bucks now are at a commercial break. 4-0 New York. And that's going to be definitely tough to come back if you're Boston. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the Dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. $52 subs to go to get to 22,400. The smashing machine. The Rock really transformed himself for that particular role. All right, American League wildcard here. Alex Cora being interviewed by Buster Only when you're down 4-0. Probably not the time and the place to have an interview right now, but Shows you how important pitching truly is. Yeah, if you end up going to Google, and typing in certain keywords, you'll be good to go. Nathaniel Lowe in the box. Oh, 1 pitch. Chopped right up the middle. And there we go. A nice little single there for the Red Sox. Here in the top of the 5th, down by 4. Again, we got about 10 minutes to go with halftime and whatnot, so obviously they'll do a little breakdown of the first half. But when you end up having something that's important, that's on for playoffs in any sport, it's nice to be able to pivot and kind of watch both. And then once the halftime period commences and ends, then we'll be right back into the second half. 17-7 Niners in a trap game for the Rams. First pitch to Carlos Narvaez, who is 0 for 1, takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. There's not really anything going on. I want to work, but the only thing that would be available for me to do is like maybe a college football game, but it wouldn't even really be like a high-profiled one. So I'm not really sure. It'll probably just be a day off, and I'll just read and watch film and, get some thumbnails prepped and whatnot. I'll probably do that. And then, Saturday, obviously the Mariners will play in the evening if this Yankee lead stays firm on Fox Sports 1. It'll be like 5:30 start. And then I'll make that thumbnail. And then obviously on Sunday, we'll do 2 streams. We'll do the Buccaneers and the Seahawks. That'll be on CBS at 1. And then the Mariners will play at like 5:30 for game 2 on Sunday against the Tigers. So we'll do 1 stream on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And then I want to work tomorrow. I really do, but there's not going to be a baseball game. There's not going to be anything on the NFL. The only option I really have is, college football and whatnot. And, it's not even going to be any of like the really good matchups. So I'm thinking that we'll probably just take the day off tomorrow, and then we'll just get right back into it on Saturday. I mean, obviously the matchup, with Jared Verse, he hasn't really been able to impose his will like he normally does for the Rams because, Trent Williams is on him. So obviously that would be a guy that we normally talk about. Kyron Williams is always great. Him and Run CMC have got tutties already. So that both of those guys are going to be in the mix. And, for the Rams to get back in it, they're going to have to get Devontae Adams and specifically Puka Nacua the ball. But again, the offensive line and the defensive line for the Rams have been pushed around by the Niners. And again, Mac Jones has played like Brock Purdy, if not better, on a similar level. And he's had plenty of time to go through his progressions. And again, we'll see kind of how it plays out. The defense has been better for the Niners with Fred Warner also. So it's definitely a trap game, here for the Rams. And even though the Niners have a lot of people that are injured, they're playing like they have nobody injured. And we'll see kind of how it plays out in the second half. But really the only standout player right now is Kyron. That's pretty much it for the Rams. Top of the 5th inning, 4-0 Yankees. Runner at first with 1 out. Series is tied 1-1. Winner of this matchup goes to the AL to face the Toronto Blue Jays. ALDS. And then after the ALDS, winner of the Yankees and Blue Jays, assuming that the Yankees hold on, will go to the World Series if they can end up winning against the Tigers or the Mariners. So we'll go ALDS, ALCS, and then World Series. No problem. I got you. Top of the 5th inning. 2 outs. 4-0 Yankee lead. Big swing and a miss for that second out. Schlittler coming out there with some heat on the mound for the Yankees, looking like a Garrett Cole. Very dominant there on the mound. And your pitching has to be on point, especially in a clinching game, to be able to advance to go to the next round. Yeah, both teams are going to take chances. I mean, again, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are very familiar with each other. They coach together. Obviously, when they were on the Redskins, when they were very, very young, back in the day when they were doing special teams and, secondary coach, things like that. And then, working their way up, from obviously those roles to, offensive coordinators, and then obviously getting a chance to be a head coach now for obviously the Niners and the Rams at this point. They know each other probably better than anybody, based off the coaching, matchups throughout the league and being in the same division as well. But it should hopefully get a little bit closer as we get into the second half, but we will see. I don't think Boston will be able to come back. Again, I think that they'll be able to score a couple before the game is over, but as long as the Yankees keep pitching like this and hitting like this, you would have to assume New York will probably put up at least one or two more. And even if the Yankees have a little bit of a meltdown, Boston probably will only max out at like one or two, unless they get incredibly lucky, like on a 3-run jack or something like that, which they may need to come back late. So, it is possible, but when you're down 4 in a clinching series game, and you're halfway through the matchup, you're going to need a little bit of a luck, and a little bit of a meltdown, and you got back-to-back hits on 2 outs here. But again, if you can get a couple guys on and hit a 3-run blast, like let's say right here, and then it's 4-3, then yeah, they're right back in it. But what is the probability of Boston hitting a 3-run dinger right here? It could happen, but these guys go toe-to-toe. But normally when teams are up 4 or 5 runs, it's very hard to come back. But anything is possible in sports, as we know. They got Jarren Duran in the box, and that is a guy that could hit a 3-run blast here, to get him to 4-3. 0 for 2 with a strikeout, 16 homers. And if there was ever a moment that Duran needed to get an RBI or a home run, it's fucking right here. And we still got a couple minutes to go before halftime. We're almost done with it already. Halftime doesn't last very long. It's only like 12 minutes, so. Top of the 5th, runners at first and second with 2 outs. Schlittler on the mound for the Yankees, and Jarren Duran, who is a stud, in the box for the Red Sox. They need a big RBI or a big home run, but we'll see if Schlittler fucks up here or if he ends up getting the job done. 0-2 pitch from Schlittler. Inside, did he go? And he did. Wow. And that is it. They leave 2 stranded. Schlittler wheeling and dealing. Cam Schlittler. Yeah, he did go around. Come on, Jarren Duran. Now they're on commercial breaks for both shows, but we should be getting back to the second half here in just minutes. So just waiting for all the commercial breaks here to end. AL wildcard game number 3, series tied 1-1. Winner advances to play the Blue Jays. And if the Red Sox win, the Mariners play early on Saturday. If the Yankees win, we play late. So I think actually playing later will be better for us. We play, pretty good, later on in the late afternoon evening. So, having both games on relatively around the same time, around 5:30 is ideal, for preparation. So that way we're not playing early in one game and later in the other. We can do the same routine at home, on both days to give us an advantage. And hopefully we end up winning the first two games. Then we'll go to Detroit. Obviously, after we have a day off on Monday, we'll do Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Jags. I'm looking forward to that. That should be pretty competitive since the Jags are actually good this year. And the Chiefs are not as good as they have been in years past. So that makes that matchup intriguing. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, obviously will be Tiger matchups. Thursday off. And if they win two games, after we win two games, then game 5 goes back to Seattle next Friday. But hopefully Seattle wins the first two games. And then we end up getting business done in the first or second game in Detroit. And then the series is over. And then we, have a berth, obviously, in the ALCS against, either the Blue Jays or the Yankees if this score ends up staying intact. All right, start of the third quarter here. All right, so let me untap this, and we can always get updates for people in the room. 6 touchdown passes this season for Mac Jones. Very impressive. Yeah, I mean, I watch many games. I do baseball, basketball, football, hockey, NASCAR, wrestling, you name it, I do it and whatnot. So, obviously this is a trap game, for the Rams. And at this point, it looks like the Niners, have the edge, but, you never can count out the Rams until the game is over, especially when you have the number one wide receiver, in the league this year in Puka Nacua. All it takes is a couple catches by him or a couple big plays, either by the defense to kind of turn the momentum around. But right now, Uncle Mo is on the Niners side, and, it's going to be a battle for the division. You got 3 teams that are 3-1, Niners, Rams, Seahawks. And, Seattle's going to be playing Tampa, in Seattle, on Sunday. And we got a lot of injured players. So there's a chance that Seattle could improve to 4-1. But hopefully we'll bring our A game and make it competitive, and we'll see what happens. Shotgun set on 1st down and 10. Throw to the sideline. Puka is there. And that's a gain about 4 or 5. I think I would rather play the Blue Jays, honestly. I think we match up better with them. The Yankees have been kind of a thorn in our side. We know that, sometimes Aaron Judge doesn't play the greatest in the postseason. But again, the history with the Mariners, in 95 and 2001, the Yankees have kind of ended us, in the playoffs over the years. And obviously, if the Yankees were to beat the Blue Jays, it would be a great time for us to get revenge. But also there would be a chance that they could beat us too if we play bad. So, but you could say that with the Tiger series or the Blue Jay series either. So I don't really mind where it goes, but if it ends up being the Tigers, the Blue Jays, and then we play the Dodgers or Phillies in the World Series, no one said it was going to be easy. It's going to be hard, but again, we have a team that's just as good as anybody to get there, and hopefully we do. But I think I would rather play the Tigers than the Blue Jays and then play like the Phillies or Dodgers in the World Series, because I feel whoever wins between the Phillies and Dodgers is going to be the representative of the National League. No disrespect to the Brewers or Cubs, but I think the Phillies and Dodgers at this point are better, just top to bottom. Except for the Dodgers bullpen, that's kind of stinky. So, holding, defensive number 92, and holding on the offense. Penalties are offset. Replay 1st down. Appreciate that, Jan. Yeah, it seems like he's still nicked up. And if Wu does play, it sounds like it'll be game 3, game 4, or game 5. So, we don't want to have to go with, Kirby, Gilbert, Castillo, and Miller. That could be trouble, because we already know Castillo and Miller can't pitch on the road. And sometimes they're not very good at home either. So it's like we desperately need, if Miller goes to the pen, We need Castillo to probably pitch at home, but they probably won't do that. It probably would make sense to go like Kirby, Castillo, Gilbert, and then Woo and then Gilbert. But, I guess we'll see how they decide to go. But it sounds like they may go Kirby, Gilbert to start the first 2 games to try to get dubs. But, we'll see how that plays out if that's the, strategy they go. Handoff. No, that play action fake and incomplete. 3rd down and 6. Yeah, but it sounds like he's not going to be pitching at home. He'll probably be pitching on the road, in either game 3, game 4, or if it goes game 5. But again, we don't want to rush him out there, because if Woo is not healthy and he gives up, we throw him out there in like game 2 and he gives up 4 runs in the first, we're fucked. So like we got to make sure that we're doing our job. Pass incomplete. And a rare drop by Kyron Williams. He definitely would have been open for a big first down gain, scampering down the sideline. A little brain fart there by Kyron. And now that's going to be 4th down and 6 at the 49er 35. And again, maybe it was just the fact that he saw Fred Warner in the corner of his eye. We know how he can lay the wood and he can hurt you. But again, you got to catch that ball. You're like literally the only piece on the Rams that's doing anything at this point. So 53-yard attempt here from the Rams to see if they can cut the lead into 7. Kick is up. And wide right, no good. Wow. I mean, if we could end up going like Kirby game 1, Castillo game 2, and then Gilbert on the road for game 3, that might give us the best chance to win, if we're going to go that route, unless they go Gilbert 1, Castillo 2, Kirby, on the road to give us a really strong piece in that first game on the road. And, if we went Gilbert game 1, Castillo 2, and then we went up 2-0, and then we had Kirby for game 3, that you could potentially sweep them right there. Obviously easier said than done, but I'm just looking at, guys compared to being at home and on the road. We know Gilbert and Kirby can play at home and on the road. There's no question about that. But Miller and Castillo on the road are kind of shitty. So if you could use Castillo, if Miller's going to the pen, for a home matchup for game 2, even though I don't fully trust him, it could be a better situation than going, Kirby, Gilbert in the first 2 games, and then going with Castillo on the road for the first game in Detroit and him getting absolutely fucking torched and we lose that game. So, you have to kind of think outside of the box, and, hopefully Woo will be ready by game 3, game 4, game 5. But, it's one of those things. We just have to hope that, he feels comfortable in his routine and we can find a way to advance. And then we go to the ALCS against the Yankees or Blue Jays, and win that, and then represent the American League going against the Dodgers or the Phillies in the World Series. So. Yeah, but if Kirby makes you nervous on the road, what does Logan Gilbert make you feel? Logan has been using his whole body and throwing into the dirt a lot. And, I think at this point, I trust Kirby more than I do Gilbert. And then obviously I trust Kirby more than Castillo. And then if Woo is not available, and then Miller is not trustworthy. So it's like you have to take the best situation out of a shitty situation, right? You know what I'm saying? Because overall, Gilbert, at times can be good, but it seems like, after this injury this year, him and Kirby and Miller haven't really been, like fully themselves. So, but whatever combination we do, hopefully we can get it done. TJ in the building. What's good? Let him know, TJ. If we can get a few people to help out with the likes, it would be greatly appreciated. See if we can get to 75 likes before the stream ends. If we end up peaking over 100 people, then we'll shoot for 100 at that point. And we're at 16 on the Dono train, 84 to go. First down and 10. And a 2-yard gain there. Purdy, Pearsall, Ayuk, Jennings, Batch, Barch, Kittle, Bosa. Pretty notable injuries there, kind of like Tampa's injuries as well. Second down and 8. Shotgun set for Mac Jones after that 2-yard gain by McCaffrey. Plenty of time up front. Floater to the sideline, incomplete. And that's one thing that you notice right away, that the offensive line and the defensive line for the Niners are playing so amazing. They have all these injuries, on skill position players, but the position that matters the most to win games, the O-line and the D-line, is being dominated by the Niners. They do have Trent Williams locking up Jared Verse. Verse is a guy that typically gets sack lunches and causes havoc, and he normally doesn't have to go against a Hall of Famer, each week. But this week he's going against Trent Williams, and he's not winning the matchup. Williams is doing a very good job here. Throw to the sideline, incomplete, flag on the play. And Williams looks like he got caught there with defensive holding or pass interference. Williams with PI there. Automatic first down. I mean, it's still early in the season. We don't really know what the Niners' final record is going to be, but I mean, the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks are all having an amazing start to the first month of the year. Obviously, the Niners dropped that game to the Jags, but the Niners have been beat up more than most teams besides maybe Tampa. Like Tampa and the Niners have been beat up, but we are still finding ways to compete and win. And again, if you got a good O-line and a good D-line, it definitely makes the difference. If you're quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and other defensive players may be banged up or hurt. But, do the Niners have a chance of winning the division? Yeah. Do the Seahawks? Yeah. Do the Rams? Yeah, all three of them. The only thing for sure that we can say is that the Cardinals have 0% chance of making the playoffs and winning the division. The other three teams are big brother. The Cardinals are little brother, and they always will be, at least for the foreseeable future. Unless they end up getting a new coach and retooling that whole roster. But halfback toss, gain of 2 there. Yeah, I mean, if we had a better punter and better special teams coach and we didn't have a blocked punt in the first play that went back for a touchdown, I think we would have beat Philly, But again, Philadelphia, when you lose to them or when you lose to the Bills, it's kind of like, okay, they are the 2 best teams in the NFL. You just, hope that you play well. And then when you fuck up early, you kind of, understand your fate and then just have to regroup and hope things that can get a little bit better. But, with the injuries that we have going into Seattle, Seattle's got 5 or 6 guys that are hurt. Half of them will play. I brought the list up earlier today. And when you look at this list, have you ever seen a list this big for injuries? And the answer is you haven't, because I've never seen something like this. And again, it's all starters, besides one player. So when you have 20 guys that are fucking injured and one of them is a backup and the rest are starters, it's 11 on 11. But again, some of these guys are going to play with injuries, but not what I want to see. Shotgun set, 3rd down and 3, Mac Jones. Nice catch, first down, Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang, move the chains. Mac Jones has been very impressive, and I imagine he's very happy to be out of New England. Anyone that's playing in New England is probably happy to be the fuck out of there, regardless if it was in the Bill Belichick era or not. And we didn't score a touchdown in the first half, which was a killer. We ended up only losing by 6, and we only let them score, a touchdown or 6 points in the second half. But, when they have a big lead early on, when it's like 20-something to 6, hard to come back against Philadelphia. But, we have their number. We are their kryptonite. And, in the NFC Championship game, it could be Eagles, Bucks, Eagles, Lions, or Eagles and another team. But I just want to be in the mix, at the end of the year between Detroit, Tampa, and then whoever. Maybe, one of these three teams between the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks might be in the mix. And we'll kind of see, what the Commanders do with Jaden Daniels, if they can kind of get back on track, or if there's going to be a team in the NFC South other than us that will be a little bit better like the Falcons, but they've been very hit or miss so far. Jones, floater, caught towards the first down marker, and Kendrick Bourne, did they give him the first down? Very close to that first down marker. Yeah, and also Baker, helping us win in the first 3 weeks, having to score, in the 2-minute drill. Anytime you're down with a minute or 2 minutes to go, most teams fail, but Baker has been phenomenal. And again, we'll see what happens when we get the Bucks and Seahawks live stream on Sunday. And then we'll do that first. And then we'll do Mariners Tigers game 2 right after that. First and goal, man in motion. Purdy. No. Mac Jones handing off. And Christian McCaffrey just short of the goal line. Second and goal, and you would assume that you can go right back to Christian McCaffrey and he'll get in. Yeah, Texans definitely took a step back. CJ Stroud, obviously had the sophomore slump. Offensive line is terrible. Obviously the defense, is one, piece that has made plays, here and there, but, obviously the Colts and the Jags are better. Hand off to Juszczyk, and they stuff that one out and sniff that out. Nice defense there by the Rams. Jared Verse finally getting a chance to make a play. Third down and goal. Yeah, it typically is like that for Charger games and for Rams games. I kind of wish that the Chargers were still in San Diego and the Rams were still in St. Louis, if I'm being honest. When you have like too many teams, in the Los Angeles area, they, kind of take it for granted. It's like Laker fans, it's like more like going to a movie rather than actually watching a basketball game. Half the people that go to the game are on their phones, instead of actually watching the players play. But, with Luka there, maybe that'll change a little, but we'll see. Third and goal, timeout here by Kyle Shanahan, trying to get Mac Jones the proper play. And you would assume the proper play would be Christian McCaffrey. But again, we'll see if they decide to, be a little bit more creative here. But if you get a little cute, here, this close to the goal line, on the 2, it could end up leading to a field goal or a turnover. So we will see. But it shows you, it's not just about quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Those positions are overrated. It's about O-line, D-line, defense, coaching, play calling. That's more important than quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. The media will tell you quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end matter the most. That's not true. O-line and D-line are much more important. You're seeing Mac Jones outplay Matthew Stafford, for Christ's sake, on the road. Jones, floater, and complete. Good defense there by Los Angeles. And Mac Jones is down, and he is injured. Uh-oh. He's holding his knee or his calf. I hope he didn't tear his Achilles there or pulled his hamstring. That does not look good. And obviously Brock Purdy is already out. And I wonder who they have available for third string and fourth string for the Niners here. What, Trey Lance? I mean, obviously the Niners are going to do next man up approach. Yeah, that could be definitely roughing the passer there for sure. And that extra body-to-body contact, there at the end was not ideal, and it looks like an Achilles or a hammy. And again, if someone's going to be grabbing their knee immediately or grabbing their hamstring or Achilles immediately, and they don't let go, not a very good sign. So, yeah, but McCaffrey already has a touchdown. And again, Shanahan is a very brilliant play caller. You know, it's like, how often would they think that Juszczyk would get the ball? And it's not like Juszczyk is a shitty player. He's actually pretty good, you know, since the fullback position is almost obsolete. So he may not be Mike Allstott, but Juszczyk can score touchdowns. So, I mean, you can't just go to McCaffrey every fucking play. Adrian Martinez is the backup. Well, they might be in trouble then. Rams might come back. So they had what? Tanner Mordecai, Curtis Rourke, and Adrian Martinez. And this might be the start of a comeback at this point, especially if Martinez ends up fumbling the bag and, you know, Rams end up, making a comeback. But hopefully Mac Jones is okay, but the injuries keep pouring on. And again, right now, Tampa and the San Francisco 49ers are the two most banged up teams. And, you know, it's just crazy to think that both of us are 3-1 at this point with, you know, all these injuries to significant players. I mean, if it's one thing, if it's like backups that are majorly, you know, the main ones hurt, but when it's like a good chunk of the starters, you know, sometimes eventually that'll catch up to you. But hopefully Mac Jones is okay. 4-0 Yankees in the top of the 7th, and it looks like Boston is on the brink of getting eliminated. $20-yard field goal attempt, kick is up and good. 20-7 Niners. And now if the Rams can capitalize off this injury and you get kind of suspect play for Martinez, you know, they're at their third string quarterback and whatnot. We'll find out if they can end up making this game a little bit more interesting. I mean, all it would take is a touchdown and a 3-and-out, or a touchdown and a turnover and another score. And then all of a sudden we're at 21-20 Rams. But, I mean, Mac Jones is running off the field as they show the replay here on Prime. So, and clapping still. So maybe we will see Mac Jones back. Maybe the injury wasn't as bad as we thought. Maybe it was cramping. Obviously, it's not an Achilles tear or a hammy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to walk like that. So not really sure exactly what it was. Maybe a cramp in that leg. I would assume that's what it had to have been. But if you're the Niners, the last thing you want is probably to throw Martinez out there, especially with a 27 lead. But all right, Niners with the kick. Rams with the return at the 10, at the 20, at the 25, and dodges one tackle down to about the 31, 32-ish. So looks like we're going to get what? Yankees and Blue Jays, Tigers and Mariners, Cubs and Brewers, Phillies and Dodgers. Going to be exciting. $25-yard gain off that kick. Stafford on first down and 10, looking, and throws it towards the sideline, out of bounds, incomplete. And again, the offensive line and the defensive line for the Rams have not been very good. The Niners, even with all of their injuries to their players, quarterback, wide receivers, tight ends, defensive studs, one thing that has stayed intact has been the defense for the Niners, led by Salah again. And then obviously the offensive line for the Niners is playing much better than the Rams. Stafford, plenty of time. Floater! First down, Rams. Big first down there. Move the chains. Tutu Atwell. Big first down there for Matthew Stafford. And Tutu Atwell in the slot with a great route in this zone. Just finds a way to get in the middle of it. And a nice post route. And obviously the safety over the top is a little late. And a nice throw and a nice catch combo from Stafford to Tutu Atwell. Beautiful. 34-yard gain from Stafford to Tutu Atwell. Now it's first down and 10 at the Niner 35. And looks like they're on the brink of potentially getting 6 with Davante Adams, Kyren Williams, or Puka Nacua. Gross Matos is down on the ground. Hopefully he's okay. 6:19 left in the third as he walks off the field. Hopefully he's okay. First down and 10 on the San Francisco 35. We're in the third quarter. 20-7 Niner lead. Nice throw. First down, Rams. Stafford to Puka Nacua, the number 1 receiver in the NFL. And I have a feeling he's going to start to impose his will on this Niner secondary. Nice job by Puka. Great route runner, great hands, great physicality. And the fact that they have Davante Adams, who's been getting the corners that are typically considered cornerback 1, and Puka has been going against the 2s, and he's been feasting all year. 5 receptions for 44 yards, but he doesn't have a tutty just yet. But it kind of feels like it's on its way. Shotgun set for Stafford. Good protection up front. Starts to break down. Little screen pass. And through the hands of Blake Corum. He can't catch. He can't catch halfback tosses. Why is he in the game? Period. Use Blake Corum as a blocker, and that's about it. You got to be able to throw to Kyren Williams in that kind of situation. Second down and 10 at the San Francisco 19. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes, 100 on the Dono train. And 5 to 15 subs. Screen pass, Puka breaks the tackle. First down, Rams. There we go, Puka. Move the chains. And they're about to score a tutty. It's just a matter of time. (6'2", 216. I mean, there's not a corner or a safety that can match up one-on-one with Puka. I mean, even Patrick Surtain would have a hard time. And Puka has been great since he's come into the league. Sean McVay, they do a great job with, drafting for that team post Aaron Donald leaving the team. And Williams rumbling and a bumbling, bouncing off Niner tacklers, and he's down to the 2, and it feels like there's only a play or 2 left before they punch it in. You got Kyren, you got Davante Adams, you got Puka, and we'll see if the Niner defense can hold them to a field goal here. And obviously they're on the brink. Second and goal at the 1. You would assume this will be a touchdown to Kyren. Stafford. Oh, it's a pass. Touchdown, Rams. Puka Nacua. And again, you thought it would go to Kyren. They decided to take a chance and throw. Puka gets in the end zone, and there it is. The comeback is in motion. 20-13 Niners. And that's a pretty gutsy, ballsy play by Sean McVay, to throw it to Puka right there, but again, a good matchup against any corner, safety, or linebacker with Puka's size, 6'2", 216 with great hands, catches it, falls into the end zone. Now, could they have handed it off to Kyren for his second touchdown? Of course, but they want to get Puka the numbers. And again, great play call by McVay, and the extra point is incoming. And it feels like the momentum has shifted now. Kick is up and right down the middle, and it's good. 20-14 Niners. Good comeback here by the Rams. A very good back and forth matchup with the Niners and the Rams here tonight on Thursday Night Football. And we have seen some, some kind of clunkers on Thursday night. Thankfully, we have a really good one here tonight on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Gained a few more subs. 50 to go to be able to hit 22,400. Let's go, baby. $50 more subs to get to 22,400. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 75 to 100 likes. 100 on the dono train. And we'll try to hit 5 to 15 subs. 20-14 Niners. And again, for the Niners to be able to hang on and win this game, it may come down to, can Mac Jones, with an injury, complete the game? If he's able to complete the game, they're going to have a very good chance of winning. But if it goes to the third string quarterback, Martinez, that might be the end of the Niners in the fourth quarter. But it looks like Mac is going to give it a shot, but we'll find out here after the commercial break if it happens or not. Bottom of the 7, 4-0. Yeah, Red Sox ain't coming back. I mean, I guess it is possible they get a 3-run jack, by someone like Jaron Duran or someone, and, they'll be able to find a way to make it interesting. But at this point, it's been all Yankees from beginning to almost the end. So I appreciate that, Jan. I do a lot of, research, a lot of film study, and whatnot. And we do everything on this particular channel. I am the voice of the Seattle Mariners on YouTube and the Oregon Ducks. Most people know me for that, but I do a lot of NFL, a lot of college football for other matchups. We'll do a little NBA and a little NHL with the Blazers and the Kraken and good matchups, a little bit of WWE, a little bit of NASCAR, obviously once football season ends. So, we're definitely staying busy 24/7, 365 here on the channel. Oh, ball comes loose, but I think they would have already blown that dead as the Rams scamper into the end zone, but I believe his knee was down. And we're about to find out if Mac Jones is coming back out right now. And Mac Jones is hobbling, but he's out there. So, again, for the Niners to be able to improve to 4-1, the only way that's going to happen, more than likely, unless the offensive line continues to play great for Martinez if he comes in, but they're going to continue to go with Mac Jones, and he's going to try to do his best to be able to find a way. And that looks like a fumble as I see the replay here on the flip side. Wow. I think the Rams are going to challenge there. And if the Rams can get that football, I'm not sure if they're saying if certain plays are reviewable or not, but based off that replay, it looked like that was a fumble. I mean, we already know the main guys are going to be Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, who have both scored touchdowns. And then you can't forget about Devontae Adams and Tutu Atwell. Now, they will have a chance to, make their mark in the fourth quarter. And then with the Niners, main guy is obviously Christian McCaffrey, right? And then, again, someone else is going to have to step up other than McCaffrey, for this Niner team to continue to keep this lead. And, again, if the so what are they saying, that the play is not reviewable? So it looks like they're not allowing them to challenge the play that looked like the Niners fumble. That would be Rams ball. And now we got a flag on the play. False start. And we'll see if Sports Karma will come back because it looks like the Rams got a little bit of the short end of the stick, but they do have Mac Jones out there, and we'll see what happens here. First play ends up being a false start by the line, which is not ideal. First down and 15, and we'll have to keep track of his hamstring, knee area, and hopefully it'll be clean the rest of the way. 2014 Niners in a battle for the NFC West supremacy, with Seattle also included in that 3-team set. Throw to the sideline and complete. Yeah, it's all good. I've been a Bucs fan since 1995, so you're not the only one that has sour memories. The Raiders have sour memories in 2002 with one of the best defenses that's ever been built. Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Rondé Barber, Simeon Rice with a Mike Allstott on offense. And we're the only team to hold the Patrick Mahomes to 0 touchdown passes. And it shows you it's not about quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. You got to have a good O-line and D-line. And, we might be the only team that will hold Mahomes to a 0 touchdown passes in the Super Bowl ever. We're one of the only 2 teams to go to 2 Super Bowls and win both. Obviously, the Bucs and the Ravens are in that category, but looks like Ravens are going in the opposite direction, and the Bucs are trying to play the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. But the Lions, Rams, Seahawks, Commanders, and a few other teams will have something to say about that. 3rd down and 1. And leans forward, and it looks like he got the first down there. First down, Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. So players on the Rams, obviously Kyron Williams, the running back, will get plenty of looks, right? Puka Nacua is the number 1 receiver in the game this year. So obviously he'll be getting some touches. Devontae Adams hasn't got in the end zone yet, so you would assume him and Tutu Atwell will get looks in the 4th. And then for the Niners, obviously it's Christian McCaffrey, but who else, is going to step up? A lot of the other guys that they normally throw to, George Kittle injured, not playing. Obviously Juwan Jennings injured, and Pearsall injured. So a lot of these other guys, it might be someone like a Demarcus Robinson, who was a former Ram and now he's a Niner. Maybe a guy like that could end up making a play in the 4th. But the game is kind of shifting momentum. And obviously if the Rams can get the ball back and score, they may not look back, especially if Mac Jones is still kind of beat up out there. Top of the 8th, 4-0 Yankees. Disappointing. If they would have had a Garrett Crochet pitching, in this last game, maybe they would have had a better chance. But shows you pitching is so ideal, as well as the bullpen. And call is overturned on the booth review. He's short, 4th and inches. And at this point, you can just do a QB sneak. But remember, Mac Jones is injured, so they probably won't go that route. You would assume a handoff to McCaffrey or a direct snap to McCaffrey would work as well. But they got Mac Jones under center. And Mac Jones with the tush push. I don't know. That's close. And looks like they barely give him the first down. Wow. And that's kind of risky for a guy that ends up having a knee or a hamstring, Achilles, that, might be a little sore. And then you end up running the tush push with Juszczyk pushing him from behind. Normally you're not going to want a guy to do a play like that when he's injured, but they said, fuck it. We need to win this game against the Rams. The game is on the line. And so if that means Mac Jones' leg fucking falls off, who cares? First down, Niners. Move the chains. Jones under center. Handoff, and whistle is blown. Play is dead. Handoff to McCaffrey. But that might have been a timeout there by Shanahan. Or who was a timeout by? Timeout Niners. Second timeout. Schlittler playing amazing ball for them. especially when they had Garrett Cole go down with an injury early. They needed someone to step up, and again, they got enough pieces to make a big play. Same thing with the Tigers. Again, the Guardians ended up coming back and winning the division. But again, winning games in a row. Usually the team that wins game one in a 3-game, when you're trying to win, 2 out of 3, usually the teams that win game one, 80% of the time end up winning, right? So Boston would be the team that wasn't able to do it if the score ends up staying the same. But every other team found a way to get it done. Cubs won in game one, Padres won game 2, but they closed it out, even though it took them to the bottom of the 9th with a 3-1 lead with runners at 2nd and 3rd, and a hit deep ball, that almost ended up bringing some guys home. But it's going to be tougher for the Mariners going against the Tigers. It's a better team with a better lineup and with Skubal, but we play very good against elite pitching, so I know we can do it. Man in motion, halfback toss. McCaffrey following his blockers and carrying 4 Rams, now 5, now 6, and whistle is dead. McCaffrey runs CMC. Yeah, I think a lot of people, that do fantasy or just watch football in general, they get enamored with, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. But honestly, it's not about those guys. Do you have to have, athletic pieces at those positions? Yes, but if you have a shitty O-line and a shitty D-line, you're not going to have time, to have those players make the plays because the holes are going to close up. The running back ain't going anywhere. And then the passing game is going to be obsolete, because the quarterback won't have time to go through his progressions. And then obviously if your D-line is shit, that means that you're going to be able to run and pass all day long. And, even if the quarterback is average or below average, if your O-line is elite, it's going to make a player like Mac Jones actually look good, right? And Mac looks much better on this Niner team as we go to the end of the 3rd quarter than anything that we saw with him on New England. And we obviously know in New England, that team was trash, right? Obviously they don't have any good skill position players. Defense wasn't the same after Belichick left. And a guy, like Mac Jones, no, he wasn't going to succeed there, and so sometimes you got to be able to find another location to go, even if that means being a backup. And then I don't think he was really hoping that Brock would be injured, but obviously ready to go if that were to happen. And we know the Niners over the years have been an injury-prone team. Typically McCaffrey, not Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Pearsall, Juwan Jennings. Nick Bosa is obviously injury-prone and unfortunately out for the year. Both Bosas for that matter, but obviously Joey is no longer on the Chargers and, on the Bills. So we'll see if that ends up helping them make the Super Bowl this year, which we could get an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl. Kind of feels like that could be a possibility, but again, we have games to play to see how it'll all play out. End of the 3rd quarter in a good one here, 20-14 Niners. But the main reason that the Niners have been ahead is because of their O-line and their D-line have been dominating the Rams' O-line and D-line. Again, it's like Stafford, even though he's old, has been playing better, you would think, than a Mac Jones, who's a backup quarterback. But Mac is, playing like a starter because the offensive line is giving him time, and it's not like he's throwing to Kittle. It's not like he's throwing to Pearsall or Jennings. So it's like he's working with backups, but the offensive line is doing so well. It helps that you have arguably the best running back in the game and probably the best pass catching running back in the game in McCaffrey. And we know Christian is usually hurt most of the time, but when Christian is healthy, he can be one of the most explosive players and probably the most important player that's not a quarterback on an offense when he's healthy, because just of the impact that Christian can have. I mean, he can single-handedly win you a game, by himself with the offensive line if they're rolling. So it's going to be very critical to see what defense steps up, and whoever ends up getting that big fumble, that big interception, and especially if we get a fumble for a touchdown or a pick six, that could determine the outcome of the game, especially depending on who ends up getting that particular play. But it definitely feels like it's going to be going back and forth, and Rams are desperate for a turnover. And again, we will see who steps up for each team. And these guys know each other inside and out. Shanahan and McVay, they both coached together with the Redskins, when they were, just starting off.
and look where they're at now. McVay's got a Super Bowl ring. Shanahan, unfortunately, does not, but he's been to a couple Super Bowls with Matt Ryan and the Falcons, and the Niners just hasn't figured out how to coach in the fourth quarter yet. Big tackle by the Rams on third down. Tackle for loss. Wow. Landman says not today. And that's going to lead to a punt. And now the Rams have Uncle Mo and have the momentum on their side. So now a healthy dose of Kyron, a healthy dose of Devontae, and a healthy dose of Puka to be able to get them to 21-20, possibly in about 5 minutes or less. 4th down and 4 at the San Francisco 44. Great defensive stop there by the Rams, and now it'll be very crucial for them to be able to get points on the next 2 drives, but specifically right now if they can. You know, getting 3 would be great to cut it into 2017, but again, if they can get 6, that could really change the momentum of the game. My pup is in here now. She's probably looking for a snack. So once we go to a commercial break, I'll get her some water and get her some food. But now she's posted up in here watching the game with us. 1st down and 10. Stafford, throw to the sideline. And Puka Nacua with 3 Niners on him. And again, when you're built 6'2", 216, and you have that athleticism, he's definitely taking advantage, you know, of other wide receivers' situations not being ideal. J.J. McCarthy throwing to Justin Jefferson, not good, right? Joe Burrow being injured and then having to have a backup throw to Jamar Chase, not good. So there'll be guys that will be able to step up in those situations. Little check down. 1st down, Rams. Big throw and big catch there on 2nd down and 1. And again, Tyler Higbee is out for the Rams, but that's kind of the main piece for them. Relatively a pretty healthy team compared to the Niners. Now she's sitting over her in her little bed area now. Watching Dad work. Shotgun set on 1st down and 10. Stafford. And Devontae Adams goes down, and hopefully he's not hurt. And is there any flags on the play? Doesn't look like there's any flags. Maybe Devontae slipped there. Yeah. He did. And then went to BYU. Second down and 10, and this is a very critical drive here for the Rams to get points, at least 3, but they're looking for 6. Let's see if they bring the blitz. Niners bring the blitz off the edge, caught, and close to the 1st down marker there. Fred Warner with the tackle, and Kyron Williams doing Kyron Williams things. You know, again, and the Rams have definitely transformed their team since they got a player like Kyron on this Los Angeles Ram team within the last few years. You know, they didn't really have a reliable piece like him. Again, a guy that can run for 100, a guy that can catch out of the backfield like CMC, and a guy that can score once, twice, or 3 times in a game like Christian McCaffrey. 3rd and inches. And off up the middle. Nice jump cut. 1st down, Rams. Kyron Williams doing Kyron Williams things from Notre Dame. Move the chains, Ramley. I see you. 12-10 and counting in the 4th quarter. This is definitely lining up to be a really good finish. And again, these guys definitely want to win against each other. They have a strong history. Shotgun set, 1st down and 10. Corner blitz, picked up and deflected at the line. And we'll definitely see if Salah ends up bringing more pressure. Because again, more pressure in Stafford, then obviously less opportunities for him to be able to get open guys downfield. And Stafford is asking for a late hit here. And we got hit in the helmet. Oh, it's a face mask. Oh, where was the call? Looks like the refs missed a penalty there. Big missed call. Could have been a big automatic first down there for Stafford and the Rams. Trips left, shotgun set, first down and 10. 11:57 left in the fourth. Good protection up front. Stafford looking. Downfield caught. Davante Adams, first down, Rams. But it's coming back, you would think. Looks like offensive holding on the O-line there. Illegal use of hands. And that, on the defense. Ooh. Penalty is declined. Automatic first down. Wow, they got incredibly lucky. Because again, if that ended up being holding, then that erases that big gain by Davante Adams. And again, Davante is typically getting cornerback 1. Puka is usually getting cornerback 2. That's why his numbers have been inflated this year. When you have 2 wide receiver 1s on the team, kind of like Tampa with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka, who will probably win Rookie of the Year, ended up getting Rookie of the Month if it's not Tyler Warren. Obviously, those 2 studs for the Bucs and the Colts have been the 2 best breakout rookies on offense. And again, we are very happy to have those 2 players in Tyler Warren for the Colts and for Emeka Egbuka for my Bucs. Stafford looking, going deep, got a man. First down, Rams. Big catch by Davante Adams, and he is starting to heat up. He is cooking. First and goal, Rams. Niners are in trouble. Yeah, but nobody thought that the Padres were going to beat the Cubs anyways. Their team wasn't as good as they were in years past, so I don't think the Padres really choked. They just weren't good enough. Cubs were the better team this year in the regular season than the Padres. So the right teams ended up making it. Cubs, Brewers, Phillies, Dodgers, those are the 4 best teams in the National League and the ones that should have made it. Shotgun set, Stafford, first and goal. Protection breaking down, floater, back in the end zone. Tipped and incomplete. Good attempt there. Great defense there by the Niners. And almost an interception and a touchdown. Both guys had their hands on the ball. Good D there by the Niners in that secondary. Parkinson tried to get it pulled down, but could not. Second down and goal. Shotgun set. Stafford got a man. Wide open. Touchdown. Rams. Kyren Williams does it again. He can do it through the ground and through the air. Kyren Williams. And again, look at the thumbnail. Who did I put on there? I put Christian McCaffrey and Kyren Williams, and they are making the most of their opportunities here tonight. What a comeback. 20-20 extra points coming for the Rams. And now it may come down to whoever has the ball last that will win the game. Momentum has shifted. The Niners owned the first half. The Rams own the second half. Great game. Kind of coming down to a point where the Packers and the Cowboys, where the quote experts on TV said, the Packers are going to win by a lot. Next point is up. No good. Wow, he shanked it. And now we have a 20-20 tie. Maybe we will get an overtime, matchup. Maybe we'll end up getting a tie again. You never know. But, the Cowboys played with a lot of heart. No CeeDee Lamb. Micah Parsons got traded to the Packers. And again, it was a trap game for them. And the Cowboys ended up, playing a great game. And Dak is a little bit better than people want to give him credit for. And ended up, being a 40-40 tie. But it was a great game. And now we got a 20-20 tie after that extra point is shanked. And again, it may come down to whoever has the ball last. Field goal for field goal, touchdown for touchdown, and maybe we'll get OT. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes. 100 on the dono train. And we're looking for 5 to 15 subs. Let's get it, baby. And a few more subs. 49 to go to 22,400. Appreciate all the new subs on the channel. And if we can get a few of the regulars and the mods in the building, in the chat to help us get that like number up. I mean, we got 124 in the room, so we should be able to get to 100. Just needs a little bit of support by people in the room. So if you haven't hit that like button yet, please do. You know, if you don't feel like chatting, you know, that's completely fine. Donating is going to be for people that can afford it, but everyone can hit the like button. So with 124 in the room, we should definitely be, you know, closer to that 80 to 100 number. So if you are just new to the chat itself, do your boy a solid. $10:39 left in the fourth quarter, 2020 Niners and Rams. Well, at this point in the game, offensive line and defensive line is going to determine the outcome and the winner. You know, who's going to be able to get to the quarterback and end up getting that pressure or that big sack or deflection. And obviously the offensive line that's going to protect their quarterback the most. So that way that the running backs can get, you know, the holes obviously hit at the appropriate time, and also being able to go through their progressions from their first, second, and third option. So it definitely feels like it's going to be going back and forth now the rest of the way, since they were able to get, you know, the touchdown to Puka, and then obviously striking again, obviously with Kyron Williams. So, but again, each team has plenty of playmakers to get the job done. But obviously, if you're going into the fourth quarter and you're the Niners, you got to go to your bell cow, Christian McCaffrey. You know, George Kittle's not available, right? Pearsall's out. You know, Juwan Jennings is out. Ayuk is out. So again, it's a bunch of backups, including the quarterback, Mac Jones. And really one of the main guys that you can go to that's a starter still is Christian McCaffrey. So they have to be lucky that they still have one of the best players in the game available to them in the running game and the passing game. So I would assume we're going to get a heavy dose of McCaffrey, but also someone else has needed to, you know, to step up for the Niners. They just can't be McCaffrey the whole way. First down and 10. Mac Jones under center. Screen pass. It is caught. And Tongas, who already has a touchdown for a backup tight end early in the game, crushed by 3 Rams on the sideline as he gets up slowly. Second down and 8. 10-10 and counting here in the fourth quarter. After that Tongas 2-yard catch on the screen pass. Rams showing blitz. Mac Jones under center, hands off to McCaffrey, and nothing there. Runs into 3 Rams. Big third down here for the Niners, because if they punt and the Rams score, this game might start getting out of hand. Momentum has already shifted, even though the game is tied at the moment. It was all Niners in the first half. It's been all Rams in the second. No gain there for McCaffrey. Third down and 8 at the San Francisco 37. 9:30 and counting in the fourth. Big play. The biggest play for the Niners up to this point. Trips left. Shotgun set. Jones, floater, sideline. Incomplete. And the receiver falls down. Flags? And no flags. Uh-oh. And this is a big opportunity for the Rams after missing that extra point to now go to Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nacua, and to end up taking the lead here from the Niners. Shows you how important O-line, D-line, defense, coaching, and play calling is. And Jared Verse finally being able to, you know, cause some havoc. You know, obviously in the first half, Trent Williams locked him up, but Verse is one of the best defensive players in the game, you know, when he's not going against a Hall of Famer on the O-line. And good special teams by the Niners there on that immediate tackle. And we will see now if the Rams can take the lead after their bugaboo extra point was wide left. And final score, Yankees 4, Red Sox 0. Embarrassing to not even get a run. So now the Yankees are going to advance, which means the Mariners are going to be playing in the evening, both on Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to have Yankees and Blue Jays, and then we're going to have Tigers and Mariners, Phillies and Dodgers, Cubs and Brewers. So now we're down to the Elite Eight, so to speak, using college basketball terms during March Madness for baseball. And again, it's going to be very, very exciting to see how it all plays out. Just like how this game is exciting on how it's going to play out, because I chose to do this over the 3 matchups on the baseball side, because I had a feeling that this one could be similar to the Packers and the Cowboy game. And almost every single NFL game that I've done on the channel has been like this so far this year, which is a good sight to see, because as any NFL fan knows, like traditionally, Thursday night games are usually terrible. The matchups are usually not good. You know, it's very lopsided. A good team versus a shitty team. That's usually how it is. And then Sunday night and Monday night sometimes have clunkers, but most of the time the matchups are better, and then it's just up to the teams to do their job and make it entertaining. But I know the schedule for Thursday night gets heated up in December, and it's going to be, October, November, Thursday night games are a little, but again, if teams like this can make the most of their, situation, then it will be exciting. And I obviously started my Prime subscription this morning. I get 30 days free, and I got to pay $15 a month. I don't know if I'll be buying anything on Amazon and getting that free shipping, but at least it'll give me access to Thursday night football. And we didn't really do a whole lot of Thursday night prior to today because we were doing Mariners, obviously, with the playoffs. But now with, obviously the Mariners in full swing and obviously the NFL in full swing, I figured, you know what? It's time. Because you can't call a game using a streaming link being like 30 seconds to a minute behind. So, and if you guys are watching along, watching on your phone will be on the same speed that I'm watching the game, which will be faster than watching it on Prime on your TV. So if you have a smart TV and you got a Prime app, it's going to be about 20 seconds slower than on your cell phone for whatever reason. So if you have a Prime subscription. And usually that's why I'm calling games through my phone, even though I would rather watch it on a bigger screen. But if it's going to be 20 seconds behind, then that's a no for me. All right, here we go. First down and 10. Stafford under center. Hands off. No, play action fake. Going long, going deep. Towards the sideline. And Davante Adams pass incompleted, double coverage there. Tough play. And you don't want to get too cute, here in this situation. You want to make sure you take what the defense gives you. And again, there'll be plenty of Davante, plenty of Puka, but you can't forget about Kyron. And not a very good throw by Stafford. It was more towards the sideline rather than Davante having to go back for it. Probably would have been able to get that. Shotgun set. Stafford. Little check down. And there's Davante Adams close to the first down marker. Third down and 1. Nice catch by Davante. First quarter, not very good. 1 for 2 with 5 yards, right? But since 21 for 31, 279, 3 tutties, and no picks. And that helps when you have the best wide receiver in the game, Puka Nacua, Davante Adams, who still plays like a top 15, top 20 receiver. And then you got one of the best running backs who's a good pass catcher in Kyron Williams. A dream scenario for Stafford at his old age. And pass almost intercepted. Wow. Now it's 4th down and 1, and it looks like the Rams potentially will punt. And why would you throw it right there on 3rd down and 1? The whole drive was kind of fucked by McVay right there. First down, you throw to Davante Adams towards the sideline, and then on 3rd down, you're throwing again. Run the fucking ball. You've been down the whole game. The Niners are beat up. Run the ball with Kyron. You can go to Davante and Puka later. And that's a great punt as it's rolling all the way down to the 1. Wow. Great punt there and great special teams by the Ramley. Nice punt by the punter there, Evans. But again, that was the first shitty play calling drive by McVay. Normally he's smarter than that. You don't need to throw in that situation. You finally came back when you were down in this whole matchup. Keep going to Kyron. It's working. He can catch, he can run. And then once the, Niners start to cheat up to blitz, then you run the play action or over the top to Puka or Devontae, and then they're going to get the ball. But again, too much throwing on that drive, and we'll see if the Ram defense can make up for it. But this will definitely give a Niner, faithful a chance to try to get at least a few first downs, but we will see. Yeah, it's definitely a very running back, wide receiver oriented game. But again, Niners definitely doing a great job with all the injuries that they have. This is a game that was a trap game for the Rams, but it's a game that the Rams, you would think, with all the injuries the Niners, have had, that they should not maybe easily win, but they should win. But again, maybe the Rams were a little too cocky, maybe a little too overconfident. Both teams are 3-1, and the Rams are 2-0 at home. The Niners are 2-0 on the road. And again, we know the Seahawks are also 3-1. So again, it's a very good division in the first month. But at some point, you would assume that someone is going to start to peak a little bit more than the other two teams. And who that team is, we don't know yet. But again, the Niners are doing a pretty good job with all the injuries at this point, being 3-1. And let's see if the play calling will be a little bit better for Kyle Shanahan and Mac Jones against the Rams defense with Jared Verse. All right, 8:04 left in the fourth quarter. We're knotted up at 20. Could come down to whoever has the ball last wins. And again, field goals, are something that could happen. But each of these teams are going to be looking for 6. But again, what a great punt there. And we'll see what the Niners can do. They're backed up in their own end zone. And we'll see if the Rams bring the house to try to get a safety or a big sack lunch. But now at this point, you're playing the field position game, and you're not in a very good position here, even though you do have Christian McCaffrey as your running back. First down and 10 at the 1. Shotgun set. Jones is in his own end zone. Quick pass, intercepted. Oh, did you drop it? Oh, Landman almost with the pick. And again, why are teams throwing the ball? Run the ball. I mean, if you don't have Christian McCaffrey, then I get it. And you also got Brian Robinson Jr. as well. But I mean, if there was ever a guy that could actually run the ball and get you out of the end zone and get you 5 or 10, it would be McCaffrey. Second down and 10 after that interception almost happened for the Ramley. Shotgun set for Mac Jones. And a little quick slant. And that is caught. Kendrick Bourne with the catch. Third down and 2, roughly. Let him know, TJ. Hopefully we can get a few other people in the room to help out as well. But even if it's just you, hopefully the both of us can get there. 184 in the room. We should be able to get to 100. Third down and 1 at the San Francisco 11 after that 9-yard gain by Kendrick Bourne. Forbes with that tackle on that last play. Third down and 1. Shotgun set. 3 wide receiver set. McCaffrey in the backfield. Jones looking. Hot! First down, Niners. Move the chains. And big first down by Kendrick Bourne. Niner faithful, stand up. That was huge, especially when you're at your own 1-yard line. To be able to move the chains, even a few times is big. That's a fantastic throw for a backup quarterback in Mac Jones. And Trent Williams ends up saving the game, because if he's not guarding Jared Verse right there, that would have been a sack. And Bourne had to catch that with his legs as well. First down and 10 at the Niner 29. And you would assume McCaffrey should start getting some looks now. Jones, shotgun set, steps up in the pocket, check down, and good coverage by the Rams there by Jared Verse. Yeah, Puka, getting 5 more yards is definitely possible. Second down and 6 here in the fourth quarter at the San Francisco 33. Juszczyk with the short gain. Man in motion. Handoff. And a nice form tackle by the Rams there. Jared Verse doing Jared Verse things. Third down. Brian Robinson with that 1 yard gain. Third down and 5 at the Niner 34. McVay and Shanahan are playing chess, not checkers. Let's see what they can do here. Big play. 4 wide receiver set. Man in motion. Shotgun set. No running back. Next to Mac Jones. Looking. Throw to the sideline. Caught. First down. Christian McCaffrey as he leans and gains 5 more yards. Move the chains. First down, Niners. Big play. Big drive considering they were on their own 1 yard line. Could you imagine if they go 99 yards? I mean, if they do, there might not be a whole lot of time left for the Rams to come back. Big play by Mac Jones, playing like he's Brock Purdy out there. First down and 10 at the 50. Shotgun set for Mac Jones. And tipped in the air and batted down. Smart play there by Mac Jones. Otherwise, that could have been a pick 6. Second down and 10 after Mac Jones deflects it as a volleyball spike as it went back into his face, which, he potentially could have caught it, but it would have been a loss. So, batting it down with a volleyball spike was the smart move to do. Serving the ace like a tennis player as well. A little Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi. Shotgun set, Mac Jones, quick pass. Kendrick Bourne is there, breaks 1 tackle and another, leaning forward. First down, Niners. Wow, impressive drive. And if you're the Rams here, you're going to have to start blitzing. Because again, if you're just going to give Mac Jones time, you're going to lose. Again, they have too many weapons, even though a lot of them are injured. Again, Kendrick Bourne, Christian McCaffrey, they have enough guys that are making plays here late. So for them to be able to battle that, they're going to have to send at least 5. Sending 4 isn't going to be good enough. Mac Jones has got a pretty quick delivery, even though he got hurt earlier in the game. Nice play for Kendrick Bourne. Little bootleg, play action, and throw into the turf. That looked like a broken play, and now we have a flag on the play. Flag on the play with 3:44 to go. 20-20, Niners and Rams. Illegal man downfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down. First down and 15 after that ineligible downfield pass at the Rams 45. And again, Jared Verse has got to get to Mac Jones. Otherwise, they're going to keep marching down the field. Audible at the line here by Mac Jones. Shotgun set, 2 wide receiver set on the left. McCaffrey in the backfield. Shotgun set, pressure coming up the middle. Throw toward the sideline. Over the head and over the hands of Demarcus Robinson, the former Ram, going against his former team here and now on the Niners. Incomplete. Let him know, Marine Bean. Let him know, TJ. All it takes is 1 second to hit that like button. We got 208 in the room. We should be able to get to 100. Second down at 15 at the Rams 45. Purdy, Pearsall, Ayuk, Jennings, George Kittle, and Nick Bosa all injured for the Niners. Shotgun set for Mac Jones. Pressure on the edge. Little check down. And good form tackle there by McCullough. And Tongas with the catch, who already has a surprising touchdown in the first half. That's George Kittle's replacement. at tight end. 10 receptions, 142 yards for Kendrick Bourne, career high. And now we have 3rd down and 11 at the Rams 41. Big play here. Biggest play of the game for the Niners at this point. 3:07 and counting. 3rd down and 10, and they need to move the chains. Trips right, shotgun set. And tipped. Oh, what happened to my hands? Big play by Stewart, but he dropped it. And now it's 4th down and 10, and the Niners are going to have to punt. And this is playing, unless they end up going for a long field goal here. But if they kick the field goal, it's going to be like 56-60, which I guess is possibly doable. So they don't got Jake Moody anymore, so. All right, how long is it? 59. Holy fuck. This will be a big one. 59-yard attempt by the Niners. 9 for 9 so far in his career. Kick is up. It's got the distance. And it's good. Wow. That might have been able to make it from 62. Big field goal. If that was Jake Moody, no way in hell he would have made that. Laces out. Good hold. Nice strong kick. No slip. And a big kick. Hell, that might have been, that kick might have been able to go 70. I mean, that wasn't even close to the bottom of the crossbar. That was in the middle. Wow. 23-20 Niners, but you gave the Rams 252. So we'll see if Stafford can do his best impersonation of Baker Mayfield this year in his 2-minute drill to see if they can end up tying it up or potentially going for the win. You got Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams. And as far as trifectas, that's one of the best in the NFL this year. So they have the weapons. Now, can the offensive line, for the Rams hold up? Or will Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the Niners, find a way to get to Stafford? And we'll see. 2:52 left here in the 4th quarter. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 100 likes. We got 232 in a room. 100 on the dono train and 5 to 15 subs. Let's go, baby. Gain 7 more subs. 42 to go to 22,400. Shout out to all the new subs. 15 subs so far. Let's see if we can get 30 before the stream ends. I mean, AI is going to take over. There's no doubt about that. But AI isn't going to take over necessarily for people like me and people that are streaming. You can always, use, different programs to change your appearance, and people are doing that obviously like on things like OnlyFans and whatnot, where they're not who they seem that they are, but again, at some point, certain jobs are going to be taken over, by AI and by robots and whatnot, but they're also going to be, jobs that are still going to, be man, woman powered for the future. But AI is definitely real. It's growing, and it will be one of the growingest, future businesses in the landscape. Just like when we saw the growth of, Bitcoin and other things of that nature, where you could kind of see, the end of the tunnel. AI is, in the beginning stages, and it will take over as the years progress. There's no doubt about that. I mean, to a certain extent, it already has in the early stages already. Next week, we got the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and Jackson Dart with Cam Scattaboo. Too bad Malik Neighbors tore an ACL. Otherwise, that would be a little bit more must-see TV. And just imagine if the Giants would have started Dart right away instead of Russell Wilson. Maybe they would have another win or two under their belt. But the future for the Giants with Scattaboo, Dart, and Neighbors is very interesting. Shotgun set. And a nice pass there to Puka Nacua. First down, Rams. First down and 10. Shotgun set for Stafford. Good protection up front. Floater. Wide open in that zone. Davante Adams. Wow. First down, Rams. And they are driving. Would not shock me one bit if the Rams get in with a touchdown on this drive. Shotgun set. Stafford, good protection up front. And throws it into the turf there after the pressure started to come in, and that looks like a hold on the Niners. Things are starting to melt down for this Niner defense and Robert Saleh. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if AI has a more pleasing voice. It's about the people that are on YouTube. So obviously when you support someone, you're not supporting a robot. You're not donating to a robot and a robot voice. You're donating to a person and what they're about. So, you know, there are going to be some jobs that will be affected, but on YouTube, not so much. Big flag there. 2-minute warning is upon us. 23-20. Niners trying to hang on with Mac Jones. And again, they're going to need a big defensive play. You know, Robert Saleh and that crew need to come up with something. And obviously the Rams now are starting to threaten. And it feels like, you know, a field goal is imminent. But again, if they keep playing a soft zone or man-to-man, you know, again, with Davante Adams, Kyren Williams, as well as Puka Nacua, the best receiver in the game this year, at some point you feel like it will open up. And you might have given them a little bit too much time. 1:56 left in the fourth. Enough of you, bro. You and your future wannabe world that you live in. Some people have talent, some people don't. Some people have amazing drive and amazing relentlessness, to make their dreams come true. And again, there's a reason why, dreams and goals are so hard to accomplish, because if it was easy, everyone would fucking do it. That's facts. 1:56 left in the fourth quarter, 23-20 Niners. It depends on how quickly the Rams can end up getting into scoring position. I mean, at this point, you got 1:56 left, and they're on the San Francisco 31. So, I mean, it's all about strategy at this point, too. I mean, are you going to try to, bleed the clock, down, and then you end up kicking a field goal and then, going into overtime? Or, there has to be a little bit of a balance here. How much time do you leave the Niners? And can you end up bleeding the clock out to a point when there's like 30 seconds left and you end up scoring a touchdown in that same process? Easier said than done, but it also will depend on if they throw the ball or run the ball and force the Niners to use their timeouts. So we will find out. At this point, it's anyone's guess. Could go either way. Both teams have amazing defensive players with Fred Warner and Jared Verse that can make game-changing plays. We'll find out here momentarily. First down and 10, 1:56 left. Man in motion, handoff up the middle. Ooh, what a run, bouncing it to the outside. Kyren Williams, and almost gets into the end zone off the first play. Wow. Fred Warner with a tackle. Kyren's got that explosiveness. And if you watched him at Notre Dame, you knew he was going to be a stud. And again, Sean McVay always finds gems in the draft. Kyren Williams from Notre Dame, Puka Nacua from BYU. Again, imposing his will. And now the clock is tick, 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 tick. 1:20 and counting. And at this point, you can kind of just run the football, and we'll see if the Niners let him score or if they can keep bleeding the clock down. But I assume you're going to get the ball ran by Kyren the rest of the way. Handoff up the middle. Kyren. And the first couple Niners kind of let him go. And then the other two Niner players finally tackled him. But we got a flag on the play. Looks like there might be a hold. Something on the Niners possibly here. Illegal hands by the Niners. That's not ideal. Automatic first down. Fuck. Niners are on the brink of losing. 1:07 left. And then now it's all about, do you let them score or are they smart enough to go down, before they get into the end zone to keep bleeding the clock? Sean McVay is a very smart coach and their players are smart as well. 1:07 left on 1st and goal. I mean, ultimately, you want to get a touchdown and you want to leave them the little amount of time. So even if they let you get in, you just drop down to the 1 and then you don't get in and you bleed the clock more and more. 1st and goal, handoff up the middle. Niners say they have the football. Wow! And the Rams fumble at the 1. I need to see a replay. And the judge on the sideline says Niners recover. Wow. Unbelievable. I need to see a replay on how this all went down. And let's see if Kyren actually fumbles there. Obviously, they're trying to melt the time down to win the game, but you have to hang on to the football. Let's look at the replay. Kyren. Oh, and a big punch out at the 1 yard line. And again, it was a Charles Peanut Tillman type of punch that we used to see that Bears, player do on defense year in and year out. And he came in and just punched it out. And it was before he crossed the goal line. And it looks like this call is going to stand. Wow. And Rams have all 3 timeouts, but now the Rams are on the brink of losing. Wow. I mean, at a point where it looked like the Rams would have a good chance to take the lead. What a game-saving play by the Niner defense there. Incredible. Collins, unbelievable. And Kyren is sick. I can't believe that happened. And he's not a guy that typically fumbles, but now you're in a position here where you got to get yourself out of the end zone. Mac Jones, literally on the 6-inch yard line. Little tush push. And gains about a yard. Rams call timeout. I mean, if they can force the punt and then the Rams can get a field goal with like 20 seconds left, this could end up being 23-23 and we go to overtime like the Packers and the Cowboys. Second down and 9. And they're on their own 1. Handoff up the middle. And good defense there by the Rams. Timeout is called. And I don't know if the Rams are going to be able to get a touchdown now to necessarily win the game. Obviously, they'll try. But it kind of feels like based off this field position, matchup that you got here. Again, Kyren Williams feels sick, but he could make up for it in OT. And we'll see where it goes. But there's a very good probability if they can force the punt here that the Rams can get a field goal with enough time. And then we can go into OT unless they're lucky enough, to get a big play to Puka, Devontae Adams, or if Kyren can be the hero, which is definitely possible. 3rd down and 8. And they're at their own 1, 2 yard line. Shotgun set. Big play here. 3rd down and 8. Handoff up the middle. And a great tackle by Jared Verse. Timeout. And there we go. Now the Niners are going to be forced to punt. And the Rams got 53 seconds left, which is plenty of time if they get the ball at the 50 to be able to get a couple first downs, to hit a field goal to go to OT. But at this point, they're going to be looking at winning the game. And Kyren trying to make up for that incredible punch out that surprised not only him, but the entire Rams staff. Sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. Well, sometimes when you get a Charles Peanut Tillman type of play and you get a player that punches the football and it lands right on the football and it gets popped out, it happens. Kyren is still one of the best running backs in the game. There's no doubt about that. Puka is the best wide receiver in the game stat-wise this year, and Davante Adams is still playing like a top 20 receiver. Let's see. Hopefully he doesn't step for a safety here. And a little pooch punt. And it only goes to about the 45-yard line. And a short return down the sideline. Oh, my. And a flag on the play. Good return there, but we'll see if there's a hold by the Rams. I think they're going to negate the run back, and they'll still be in good position to be able to get a field goal to tie or a touchdown to win. Trey Brown. No, the Niners are not getting the ball again. If the Niners get the ball again, it'll be in the overtime, unless they end up picking it off and then they win the game and they get the ball that way or something of that nature. All right, so we got to see if Robert Saleh's defense, can come up with a big play with Fred Warner and company. We know how great he is and how great he has been for years and years and years. And we'll see if the O-line for the Rams can hold. And if it can hold enough, then Kyren, Davante, and Puka obviously, are good enough weapons for Stafford to, win this game. But we will find out. First down and 10 at the 50. Great field position here. Shotgun set for Stafford. Niners only bringing 4. Pressure up the middle. Going long, going deep. 1-on-2. Wow! Incomplete. Puka Nacua in double coverage. Lenore and company there. And that was very ballsy by Matthew Stafford. Could have been game over. I mean, I get it. Puka has been great this year, but don't throw in double coverage. Come on, my guy. I mean, if it's 1-on-1, fine. Go to Puka, but not 1-on-2. I don't care if he's the number 1 receiver in the NFL this year. Even at 6'2", 216. Come on, man. But obviously it turned into being 1-on-1 because one of the defenders for the Niners fell down. Second down and 10. Shotgun set. Pressure coming off the edge. Stafford wide open, incomplete. Intended receiver, Davante Adams. And I assume now Saleh is going to bring the house, and they're going to try to win the game right here. And then obviously if you know that the house is coming, you better make sure you get this first down, and if not, get half. You have to get at least 5 yards to make it manageable. Third down and 10. Shotgun set. Stafford, check down. Williams. Fourth down and 4 after that 6-yard gain. And again, if you're looking at a player, you're probably looking at Kyren. At this point with the slant crossing route or maybe, a screen. I mean, unless someone is just dramatically wide open. But here's the game. Fourth down and 4. Stafford needs 4 yards to be able to complete this first down. Otherwise, the Niners win. 25 seconds left. Fourth down and 3. At the Niner 43. Shotgun set. Trips left. Pressure coming off the edge. Wide open. Oh my, Kyren Williams. First down, Rams. Go, 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 go. Gotta clock it. Tick, 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 tick. 14, 13, 12. And there we go. There's the spike. And the Rams are still alive. And they are in field goal range already. So now you're probably going to have, maybe 1 or 2 quick plays. And you have no timeout. So obviously running the ball is out of the question. So you're going to have to throw it towards the sideline and get out of bounds. Otherwise, if you stay in bounds, Niners win. So we'll see how this kind of plays out. But you got 1 passing play towards the sideline. And then obviously if it ends up being incomplete, you bring out your field goal unit at some point with preferably 5 seconds or less to go. Second down and 10. Trips left. And timeout by the Niners, I believe. Yeah, Niners with the timeout. We got 381 in the room. Where are we at the likes? We should be at least 100. We should actually be at like 200, but it is what it is. But hopefully we can get into that 100, 150 range. And that's why it's so important for the people in the room, to be able to help out, especially the regulars. I mean, with 386 in the room and only 77, takes 1 second to be able to show some love and some support. 12 seconds left here in the fourth quarter, 23-20 Niners. All right, here we go. 4 wide receiver set, shotgun set. 11 seconds to go. Stafford going long, going deep sideline. Incomplete. And Davante Adams was the intended receiver, but even if he would have caught that ball, I doubt he would have been able to get both feet down. And now it's 3rd down and 10 with 6 seconds left. So at this point now, you bring out your kicker, you try to tie the game up, and you go to OT. And Cardi is 0 for 1, missed from 53. $48-yard field goal here by the Rams. Snap is up. Kick is up. And it is good. And we're going to OT, baby. Technically 2 seconds left, for the Niners, but realistically, OT kind of feels similar to that Packer-Cowboy game that we did here on the channel. What a great game. 2 3-1 teams battling with the Seahawks, who are also 3-1. A lot of, I think overachieving by some of these teams. I don't think we predicted, these records for the Niners, Rams, and Seahawks to all be 3-1 at this point. But it's definitely going to be a battle for the NFC West this year. All right. And they just clear it. And returning it out of the end zone. Clock goes to 0. And all you got to do is tackle him. And there it is. Now we go to overtime. And again, if anyone, is looking for, fantasy points, or if you, have some bets in line that you didn't win yet, you will have a chance to be able to get some more yards, and more big play points from your favorite players on the Rams and Niners here in OT. All right, we hit 108 finally. Let's see if we can get to 200 before the stream ends. We got 348 in the room. NFL has been great. I mean, besides a lot of the injuries early on, but we can say that every year, injuries fucking suck. But we've had some pretty good games to start off the first month of the season. And there's a chance that Davante does get the touchdown for them to win the game. It's possible. You have to assume Kyren, Davante, and Puka are going to be your main options, for the Rams, and then Christian McCaffrey, are going to be, your main option for the Niners. Obviously, Demarcus Robinson on the Niners could end up making a play against his former team. We find that happens at times, and also a guy that might be a sleeper like Tutu Atwell. We haven't really seen Tutu Atwell. We did see him get the game-winning touchdown against the Colts. Obviously, a few weeks back, Tutu could be the guy that may be not covered, and that could end up leading to something as well. So we'll find out here as we get back from the commercial break here on Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football 23-23 overtime. And I think they do need to change the overtime rules. Having a tie at the end doesn't benefit fucking anyone. It doesn't benefit the team. It doesn't benefit the coach. It doesn't benefit the fans. It just puts a dirty taste in our mouth, right? Like 40-40 OT, like I want to see whoever's going to win. If that means, they have to go for two, if they end up scoring a touchdown, and then eventually you're going to get a winner. But, they need to go back to the old rules or like the college football rules, but having a tie in NFL is just brutal. But it definitely made for some good entertainment with the Cowboys and Packers with that 40-40 game, and another overtime game here on Thursday Night Football for the Niners and the Rams. Yeah, me as well, man. You don't expect, certain games. But again, once Mac Jones kind of, had that, slight mini injury, even though he came back out, the Rams started to get a little Uncle Mo and that momentum. And, obviously Kyron is dangerous. Puka and Devontae are dangerous. And we'll figure out whose offensive line and defensive line will play the best. Whoever plays the best there is going to win this game, because it's going to give their quarterbacks time and their running backs and receivers to find the holes to win this game. Also, defenses are going to have to come to play with Robert Saleh, as well as the Los Angeles Rams. Are they just going to end up playing a soft zone? Are you going to play man? And are you going to bring the house? Because if you leave too much time for both quarterbacks, they can dink and doink and beat you. So somebody's got to take a chance at some point in overtime. Well, Corum, ended up fumbling early in the game, so I doubt that they're going to go to him that much. Once you end up fumbling, that's kind of, you're in the doghouse. They did a halfback toss to him early, and he fumbled it. So if that typically happens, you're not getting, that many looks anymore. And even though Kyron got the ball punched out, he's more trustworthy. So, like, if you don't have Kyron Williams, you're not even in this game. So, just like with Christian McCaffrey on the Niners, if you take out the running backs, who knows what the score is? Maybe 13-13 or 10-10, something like that. So, all right, Niners get the ball first here. All right, Rams with the kickoff. Flag on the play. Terrible kick. The fuck was that by Cardi? 40-yard line, man. Giving the Niners a little edge right out of the gates with that terrible kick. Let them know, Chief will Chief. See if we can get to 200 likes before the stream ends. We should be able to do that. Well, Mac Jones has actually played pretty good, Gina. Again, he's played a lot better than anyone anticipated for being a backup. But again, he was a starter at one point with New England. And on top of that, he doesn't have a lot of the main weapons to work with. You don't got George Kittle. You don't got Juwan Jennings. You don't got Ricky Pearsall. So it's like half of the guys that you normally would be throwing or running to aren't even available. So he's doing actually pretty well. Man in motion. Shotgun set. Jones. Nice pass. Use check. First down, Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. The Niner faithful is happy there. And again, Mac Jones, if you look at his body language, his aura and his vibe, he's not scared out there. He's very comfortable, being the starter of this team, filling in for Brock Purdy with his injury, and it's probably one of the better backup quarterbacks, let's be honest, the Niners have had in the last 5 years. They've had a few guys here and there, but this might be maybe the best that they've had as far as a backup to Brock. Didn't get a very good reputation in New England, but he's opening some eyes here today. Shotgun set, Jones, screen pass. McCaffrey dodges one tackle and another. Down the sideline. First down, Niners. Move the chains. Nice job by Christian McCaffrey. slippery as they come, and again, probably the best pass catching running back in the league. We know that Bucky Irving is great, Jahmyr Gibbs is great, and there's a few other guys that can do it like Saquon Barkley, but Christian McCaffrey might be the most valuable offensive asset when he's healthy, other than a quarterback in the league. McCaffrey does so much in the running game and in the passing game for this team, especially with Kittle, Pearsall, and Juwan Jennings out. Use check in motion, shotgun set, pressure off the edge, throw to the sideline, caught, and a good gain there by the Niners. Nice kiss by Tonges, who's the backup tight end for Kittle, who already got in the end zone, surprisingly, in the first half. 31 for 46, 329, 2 tutties and no picks. That's a lot of throws for Mac Jones, but he's doing a good job for a backup quarterback. I mean, how many backup quarterbacks could put up stats like that? Not many. First down, Niners. Nice little pass and catch right there. And Jones is very confident running this team. But also it helps that when you have a good offensive line and a great play caller in Kyle Shanahan, that's a big part of it too. Because if the O-line wasn't good and Kyle Shanahan isn't calling plays, then Mac Jones goes back to being the Mac Jones in New England. Facts. And Tonges again with that big catch. First down and 10 at the Ram 21. Ooh, Marshall Faulk was amazing. That's tough. That is a tough one. Both are amazing. First down and 10, shotgun set. Purdy, no. Mac Jones, and another catch. And he's just kind of dinking and doinking. That time, Christian McCaffrey with the grab. And again, if you are the Rams, you're going to have to bring, a corner blitz, something. You're going to have to try to get, to Mac Jones. And if you're just going to let him sit back there and go through his progressions, they're going to score. There's just no doubt about that. Offensive line has done a great job for the Niners today. Man in motion, shotgun set, Jones, good protection up front. Oh, it's starting to collapse. Uh-oh, it's 12 noon. You know what time it is. Time for a sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. And a big sack lunch there by the Rams. And that's exactly what they needed at the right time. I mean, Jared Verse is going one-on-one typically with Trent Williams, so you're not able to get him every single play. But great job there. Verse causes a little bit of that pressure, and you get a big sack lunch by the Ramily. Young with the big sack lunch, and Young and Verse is a great 1-2 combo for the Ram defense. Third down and 12. At the Ram 23, shotgun set for Mac Jones. 2 wide receiver set, pressure off the edge, and it's breaking down. He gets hit, and it ends up hitting the turf. Big defensive play there by the Rams. And Mac Jones is slow to get up. And it looks like the Niners are going to have to go for a field goal, which is exactly what the Rams wanted. And we'll find out if the Rams can match with a field goal or possibly get the touchdown and win the game. Mac Jones is beat the fuck up. Darnold is on the Hawks. Kick is up. And doinks it. Oh, but it doinks it in. Wow. And off the left upright, he got lucky. If that was Jake Moody, that would have been a miss. But they got incredibly lucky there as it doinks off the left upright in. And we have a 26-23 lead by the Niners. Incredibly lucky because the trajectory of that kick was going to go wide left. But at the very last second, it hit that left upright, which caused it to go inside, not outside. Count your blessings, Niner fans. And Mac Jones is fucking having a hard time on the sideline. He is beat the fuck up. Nice kick by Pinheiro there. And let's see if the Rams with Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, and Devontae Adams can find a way to win this game. Decent return there by the Rams. Smith with the return. All right, here we go. And again, if the Niners are going to win this game, it has to be obviously getting pressure on Stafford. You know, we haven't really seen a lot of big interceptions in this game. We did have that big punch out by Kyron at the goal line that could have won the game for them in regulation. And that saved the game for the Niners. But now you're going to need another similar type of play to win the game. A punch out, a fumble, an interception, a sack lunch, something big. And we'll find out if they bring the house with Robert Saleh. First down and 10. Shotgun set. Good protection up front. Throw to the sideline and caught by Puka Nacua. Gain of 9. Second down and 1. No, Devontae has not got in the end zone yet. Second down and 1. Shotgun set, 4 wide receiver set. Stafford looking, bootleg, avoids, going long, going deep, got a man, caught! Wow, Tutu Atwell, like I mentioned, he ended up being the guy that got the game winner on the Colts at the end of the game, and they didn't have anybody really covering him in the slot, and they play a soft zone, and Tutu Atwell with the post and burns the Niners. And this is about to be game over for the Rams in a play or two, it looks like. Wow. Unbelievable. Tutu. And again, like I said, sometimes it's that third or fourth option that they forget about. And they have all their focus on Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. And Tutu says, I'm going to do it for you. Stafford, end zone, incomplete. God, they're getting ballsy. I mean, they're just going for the jugular here. Back to Atwell. That one was incomplete. I guess the Rams have a flair for the dramatics. They're not even trying to, get close for the field goal. They're just going for the jugular right now. Wow. Second down and 10, 26-23. And again, if you're going to play zone, you better know what you're doing. And if you're playing man, you better have a safety over the top. But again, the Niner defense kind of fumbled the bag there with that bad coverage on Tutu. Second and 10. Shotgun set for Stafford. Niners bring 4. Sideline throw, low, and bobbled by Kyron Williams. Did they give him the catch? Looks like they did. Third down and 6. No, Devontae hasn't scored, but he could. All right, here we go. Third down and 6. Game on the line, 26-23. Rams are looking for a touchdown to win, and obviously getting a first down here will be a big part of that. Shotgun set. Niners bring 4. Stafford wide open in front of the first down marker, but short. Kyron Williams. And now it's 4th down and 1. Do they go and say, fuck you? Or do they kick the field goal and continue this game? I imagine they're going to go for it. Sean McVay is aggressive like Shanahan, and they're going to win or lose by the sword. So right now, 4th and 1 to potentially win or lose the game. Here we go. Man in motion. And timeout is called. Ooh. I mean, unless you can end up doing a hard count and dropping them and getting them to, to fly off sides, which might be part of the strategy by McVay. First time out by the Niners here on 4th down and 1. What a good game. I mean, we knew that the Packer and Cowboy game was going to be better than advertised, especially when Dak was doing Dak things, in the second half, matching what Jordan Love was doing. But again, this matchup here, very back and forth. And now you got 4th down and 1. And the Rams are either going to win or lose the game right here. Fourth down and 1. Man in motion. Kyron Williams in the backfield. 3 wide receiver set. Trying to draw him off sides with the hard count. Stafford. And doesn't look like they were going to call a play even to begin with. Maybe weren't even confident enough to make that play. And then they called the timeout here. I mean, if you kick the field goal and you're the Rams, the Niners have enough time to drive down the field and win the game, right? With a field goal or a touchdown. And again, it's not like there's, 7 minutes left where the Rams are going to get another chance. Like, this is their chance, right? And we don't really know if their defense can hold up on one last drive with fatigue, kind of kicking in with both teams now getting tired. I assume, if you want to be able to get the first down, going to Kyren Williams would get you the first down, whether it be handing it off or throwing it to him in the passing game. But let's see what they do here. 4th down and 1, handoff, Kyren Williams, and stuffed. Oh! And I think the Niners just won. Wow! We need to see a replay, but I think the Niners just got the stop of the year. Whoa! Wow! And that is it. Final score, Niners 26, Rams 23. Probably should have went to Williams in the passing game on a screen. They decided to go right up the middle. The Niners knew what was coming, and they stopped it. Wow! What a fucking ending. And again, certain coaches, are going to go for the tie, but again, with 3 minutes to go, you're not going to win just based on kicking the field goal. The Niners would have probably been able to drive the ball down with a field goal or a touchdown. But look at Fred Warner and company getting that big push up the middle. Wow, what a victory by Robert Saleh and that defense against a very good Kyren Williams. Lenore with a big hug, and then you had 3 other Niners hug at the same time and push back. And the Niner defensive line ended up getting enough push on that O-line to win the game. Wow. Unbelievable. Robert Saleh, there's a reason why he came back to the San Francisco 49ers. Wow. All right, so tomorrow, there's not really anything going on, so I assume that we're going to take the day off. And then on Saturday, we'll end up doing the Tigers and the Mariners around 5-ish Pacific for Game 1 in the ALDS. And then on Sunday, we'll do Buccaneers and Seahawks at 1, and then Mariners-Tigers Game 2 at 5. So 1 stream on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then tomorrow, there's not really anything to do. So enjoy the rest of your night. Smash that like button on your way out. And then again, if something does come up that's worth doing tomorrow, I will. But only thing available is college football and not even good matchups. So love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Final score, Niners 26, Rams 23 in OT. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 200 likes, 100 on the Dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. Let's go, baby. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I'm out. See you guys on Saturday evening for the ALDS game number 1 between the Tigers and Mariners at T-Mobile. Let's get it. Tridents up.